Ranji on KMOX.
Let's take it from the top.
Good morning, friends. It is Amy Marks Kors and Chris Ranji. We hope you are doing well. What a gorgeous day it is today, St. Louis.
Beautiful.
So take advantage of it. And for the next couple of days, actually, I believe throughout the weekend, it should be kind of like this. 314-436-7900 is how you can reach us. If you just want to drop us a voicemail, though, you can do that at 944-1120. We're on social media at Chris Amy KMOX. You can watch us on YouTube and on Facebook. Can you watch us on Twitter again? Not
No.
yet, maybe.
I think Elon took it off.
Oh, pay me $8 a month. Go to hell. How about if I was the entire company of Odyssey, I would give him nothing. A billion-dollar company or whatever. We want you to be a part of our show throughout. Listen on the Odyssey app, AUDACY. It's great for your phone, and you can listen to Cardinals baseball on it as well.
Time now for the top of the order. The top three stories everybody will be talking about.
The calls for Joe Biden publicly and privately continue to grow as he deals with a bout of COVID. He was diagnosed yesterday.
And more information continues to be released about the shooter at the Donald Trump rally in Pennsylvania. We will look at what we know this morning.
And last night for St. Louis City SC, they take another loss. Fail to score 2-0 in Seattle. Meanwhile, they make a trade. Samuel Adeniran off to Philadelphia. So that is all coming up. And by the way, Cardinals baseball gets back at it tomorrow. They will play in Atlanta against the Braves. It's a 6:20 game tomorrow. So the official second half of the season, though we're way past the actual technical halfway point, begins tomorrow against the Braves. And of course, the pregame show is 5:25. Amy, so man, there's a lot. It's almost like what do you really want to start with? And I happen to think that the continued calls for Joe Biden to step aside happen to be a pretty big deal here.
A big deal.
Even though publicly he has continued to say that he's going to stay in the race, that he intends to win. We have had prominent members of the Democratic Party.
Prominent.
Yes, Adam Schiff and Nancy Pelosi
Chuck
Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries. These are the biggest members of the Democratic Party, aside from the president and vice president, who have all in different meetings privately said to him either A, it's probably best for the party to step aside, or B, or a combination of all of them, the polling is not in your favor right now.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that, as you mentioned, these were all private meetings with Nancy Pelosi, with Chuck Schumer, with Adam Schiff. And last night, the content of these meetings, plus the fact that these meetings happened, was revealed, which leads me to believe that, as we heard in the information coming out last night, that Joe Biden remained stubborn, sometimes obstinate, and pushing back against Nancy Pelosi, saying, no, I've seen polls where I can win. And it was his stubbornness and perhaps refusal to listen to their entreaties to consider stepping down, pulling himself out of the race, that I think this information was quote unquote leaked. You know what I mean? Like, these were private meetings. They didn't work. So now you got to leak the content of the meetings so that pressure becomes public.
You're not getting outright denials. You're not getting any of these parties saying, whoa, we didn't say that to him. That's not what this is, which I think in itself is very telling.
Huge.
Here's one thing I will give him. I believe that because this is as monumental of a decision as one person could make, to decide, even though I'm in the middle of a campaign, I don't want to be president anymore, or I can't be president anymore. I think it's a little more than stubbornness. I think there's some difficulty in it. That does not mean he should not make the decision. But the sooner he makes the decision, the better off all of us are going to be, because we can move forward. We can vet whoever takes his place. If it is Kamala Harris, and it kind of appears that that's who it would be, and whoever replaces her as vice president on the ticket, or if they put somebody else in front of her and leave her as vice president, which I doubt that would be the scenario. But the sooner we can move to that and start moving forward and have an actual campaign so that we can watch both of these candidates, and I'm talking about both tickets, Trump, Vance, and Harris / whoever, or whoever / Harris, or whatever it happens to be. It's better off for all of us to have several months before the election to start talking about it and to start processing how we're going to go.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because the Democrats need to play their cards right. How much autonomy they have in playing those cards depends on Joe Biden and how much power he gives them by stepping down and so forth. But it's interesting because there's a good chance that Kamala Harris also loses to Donald Trump.
That could happen.
And
any candidate they put forward could lose to him.
True, but the odds are more against Biden and Harris than perhaps some other Democrats, at least by polling. And it's also difficult to sidestep the vice president. You don't normally do that. So if they do run Harris and she loses, that is an indictment on her. It's a tough mark for her career versus Biden losing and then Harris running again, or Biden winning and not completing the 4 years and Harris taking over. I'm not sure how much calculation is going into this decision, but there is a lot to think about for Democrats, saying this is a very precarious situation for our party. We're asking an incumbent president to step down after a successful 4 years. We want to keep this momentum going. What's the best way to do this? And they have to be forward thinking. Because right now I'm saying, well, Joe Biden's got to step down because he's just not capable of doing the job. I think that's the honorable thing to do. But as a party, you're thinking, what is the best for our party? In the same way that Donald Trump's vice presidential pick really did set the needle on the trajectory of the new right, the Republican Party. It is not going the way of Nikki Haley. He did not try to reach out to more traditional conservatives by picking J.D. Vance. He cemented the trajectory of the Republican Party.
That's right.
So I wonder that's forward thinking in the sense of he made that decision knowing it would have consequences. I do think, even though I've been the one calling for Joe Biden to step down, it will have consequences how they go about it.
The nomination of Vance pretty much solidifies the MAGA direction.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
That we're not going back the other way. 65% of Democrats, according to an Associated Press poll, which is the most recent polling they've done, 65%, which is a percentage point away from 2/3 of Democrats, want him to step aside and want there to be a new candidate. I think either way, if they end up losing the election, if it's Kamala who gets the nod, or if he stays in it and loses, there's enough of a fracturing, which to me, this is kind of how democracy works. And it's supposed to be messy sometimes, and I don't think it's that big of a deal. But there will be no matter what happens, if he stays in and loses, or if she goes forward as the nominee and loses, the people who are in the party who didn't want the other thing will say, see, told you. And they'll be able to make the argument, though I think they'll be wrong. They'll make the argument that we should have either stayed course or we should have moved, because that would have been the guaranteed winner had we done that. And I don't, there isn't a guaranteed win here.
And I listen to a ton of podcasts. I try to listen to from all sides of the political spectrum. And one thing that I think everybody is saying this, whether it's CNN, the National Review, the Dispatch, they said, it does feel like the tide has shifted even more dramatically in Trump's favor. However, as we all learned over the past few days, 4 months is a very long time.
It's a very, very long time.
Very long time.
I said it on Monday when we were talking about the assassination attempt, that had this happened October 15th instead of the middle of July, I think the election is over. But I'm not buying into that right now. There's still way too much time. So the word here is Nancy Pelosi visiting with the president, a meeting with him telling him that polling says he cannot win and that they could lose the House.
Yeah, that was Adam Schiff's big concern.
So she's telling him all of that. CNN reporting yesterday that the president is now, quote, receptive to the idea. So that's where we are. How receptive is he? We're going to find out.
And I know in just a few minutes, we're going to talk about the new information about the shooter. We'll talk about J.D. Vance and the speech he gave yesterday. But your gut reaction as a human, not as a radio host, not as a political pundit, but when you heard that Joe Biden had COVID, it was tested positive for COVID, what was just your first gut reaction? Because I feel like there's so much to take in, and now the president has COVID.
I honestly didn't have much of a reaction. It's kind of going around, so it's going around. I didn't think a lot of it.
Yeah.
I then once I processed a little bit, thought, well, how does this affect the next couple of days of campaigning? Does it affect his decision, which I doubt, but I don't know. To me, I didn't really think a whole lot of it.
It was weird. I had two conflicting reactions. The first one being, not great, because I know someone whose COVID has hit really hard this week, right? We know Joe Biden is struggling a bit. So my first thought was, yikes, that's not great. My second thought was, well, if it's a light case, and someone else made this joke too, COVID is kind of how you get out of things for a few days. If you just need to step back.
Tell you what.
Someone goes, no one tests for COVID anymore unless you want to get out of something.
Or you have consideration for other people.
I know.
Which is what I did when I got it.
That is what you did.
I could have easily come into work the last time I had it. I felt okay. It was just kind of up in my head. Felt like a sinusy thing, which I've had my entire life. But I thought, you know what? Let me just make sure. I don't want to get Amy sick.
Yeah.
I don't want to get Tyler sick. I don't care about Andrew or Matt Pajeski. But I care about some people. And that's just because I'm a considerate guy.
I think that's the lesson we can learn here.
Yeah, that's right.
From Joe Biden.
We did learn some things about the shooter on Saturday who attempted to take the life of the former president. We will talk about what we know now when we come back. It is the Chris and Amy Show on KMOX.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-329-2121, 800-329-2121, 800-329-2121.
I see clearly now, thanks to the doctors, Birdie, Malhotra, Brusati, Royer, and Barry. You can too. Go to youridoc.com.
Febreze. So my home is also my office. And before I can focus, every room's gotta be clean. That means tidying up, then spraying my Febreze Air Mist. Ooh, that's fresh. Febreze Air Mist scents are all high quality. They fight any weird funk, and they give my air an instant boost of freshness. So not only does my home smell good, I feel good too. After I Febreze, it's time to start my day.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Go to hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to hims.com/joy. That's HIMS.com/JOY.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they're very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They were in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
Don't paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
For eligible individuals, 18 and older only. Results vary. See website for details and important safety information.
How are your hearing aids sounding now?
A little tinny.
Okay, 2 seconds.
With Jabra Enhanced Select's premium package, better hearing doesn't happen in a doctor's office. It happens at home, all done remotely from initial testing to adjustments.
How are they sounding now?
Fantastic. So much better. You get the same advanced hearing aid technology and professional support you expect from a clinic at a fraction of the cost. And if you have any issues, we'll make adjustments 7 days a week, no charge.
Oh, you people are wonderful.
Our premium package includes hearing aids, 3 years of follow-up care, plus a 3-year warranty with loss and damage coverage, and a 100-day money-back guarantee.
I hear better than I ever thought possible.
Save $300 on Enhanced Select 500 hearing aids automatically at checkout. Just go to JabraEnhance.com/try. That's JABRA Enhance.com/try. JabraEnhance.com/try.
Are you ready to shape the future? Missouri is crafting its master plan on aging, and we want to hear from you. Visit health.mo.gov/aging to share your thoughts, ideas, and concerns. We can create a vibrant, inclusive future for all generations.
The Bomarito Automotive Group 500 at Worldwide Technology Raceway. It's not just a race. It's a spectacle. Go to WWTRaceway.com now because the first deal is the best deal. Brought to you in part by the Illinois Office of Tourism and Discover Downstate Illinois.
KMOX, your go-to for family-friendly discussions of topics that matter to you. The voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
Chris and Amy show on KMOX. Major Garrett joins us after the 10:30 news. So, man, I feel like every week we have him on. We have plenty to get into with him, and so we will do that again today. So that is coming up. So we know a little bit more about the shooter, Thomas Crooks, who on Saturday in Pennsylvania was the person who took the shot at former President Trump and we believe grazed him in the ear. We haven't gotten exact word of what part of his body was hit or how bad the injury was. We can see the bandage that's on his ear. But 8 shots, the investigators were able to determine he got off. They used audio to determine that. We know that they are still not finding a whole lot of political motivation when it comes to him. However, and this is, I think, Amy, this exactly plays into what you and I have been talking about for a couple of days. He did not like politicians, according to one of his classmates, and that includes all politicians. That was a Fox News interview that was done yesterday with one of his classmates. And it seems to me that this was somebody who just wanted to do something, and this happened to be the most convenient political rally or event that was happening close to his house.
So
that's what it was.
What they found on his phone is that the shooter visited the Trump rally location twice. His phone contained images of both Donald Trump and President Joe Biden, and his search history included dates of the Democratic National Convention as well as future Trump events. And I believe there was also a search for
Christopher Wray, the FBI director.
Yep, the FBI director as well. And so here's a guy, this 20-year-old who dealing with mental issues, also hating politicians. He did the equivalent of when you go on Google and do gas stations near me. That's what
Yeah.
he did. I mean, he basically did politicians
Yeah.
near me. This was about 50 miles from his house. He was on the gaming platform Steam as well. And he wrote on that platform, quote, July 13th will be my premiere. Watch as it unfolds. This looks like what we had said is someone who was bullied, someone who's depressed or had mental issues, obviously something going on with this 20-year-old who was going to, quote, make his premiere by doing something cowardly and tragic like this.
There was also from some of his classmates suggesting that he was not, in fact, bullied, that he did have friends. So, who really knows if he was actually a loner?
And
But so there was this.
if you talk to high schoolers too, high schoolers you could talk to one class and everybody would have a different memory of what that experience was.
Yeah, but
like.
a lot of people said he didn't make his politics known either.
Mhm.
And there was a video, a really short video, like 10 seconds, that came out a couple of days ago. And it was in a classroom. One of the classmates is tugging at his pants leg. And it was labeled video of Thomas Crooks being bullied. But it seemed like it was playful. It didn't look like bullying because he was smiling as it was happening.
And we don't know.
We don't know if he was bullied, but I think the point is here that he didn't leave a manifesto. He did not declare who he was a fan of politically. So this is exactly what we were talking about. So all of this rush to blame one of the sides or the other over what happened on Saturday, totally premature. And we told people to slow down and let the investigation take place first. And we were right. We turned out to be right. And a lot of people were saying the same thing. It wasn't just us.
No, you don't know. Again, I kept going back to Ronald Reagan. The guy wanted to impress Jodie Foster. Okay, going back to the shooter at the Trump rally. He also searched major depression disorder. We mentioned the pictures of Donald Trump. We mentioned the pictures of Joe Biden. He also had pictures of House Speaker Mike Johnson, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, Rudy Giuliani, and Fani Willis. I mean, this guy was
he hated
just
politicians.
Googling politicians.
According to people who knew him, he just didn't like politicians. And it just so happened that this rally was taking place within driving distance. And he said, that's where I'm going. That is exactly what it looks like right now. So I think this should be, I know that most of the people who have been and immediately jumped out to Democratic violent rhetoric in the immediate aftermath of it, I think most of those people know better. There are some people who don't. There are some people who actually absolutely believe that that's what happened here. But as we warned, take a beat here before you try to blame anybody for it. Let's have an investigation first.
And let's
find out.
And you know what else? Everything Ron said, absolutely. You can still use that moment to really kind of check yourself and assess, am I talking in pretty violent terms? Am I dehumanizing the other side?
And that goes for both sides.
For both sides.
Yes.
Because you can still use this moment, even though that wasn't the shooter's motivation. You can use this moment to say, what if it had been? What if I'm contributing to this dangerous political violent rhetoric? And I think you can use this event as America, to maybe reassess, take inventory of how we're talking about each other. Because I think in that moment, we're all Americans. We're all Americans in that moment.
I will concede this as somebody who's coming from the left here. Sometimes it does happen where people on my political side, if you want to call it that, they use rhetoric they shouldn't use. I happen to think there's more of it on the other side, but maybe let's just not take score here. Let's all just say, forget it. Hey, it doesn't matter who does it more or who has the more violent rhetoric overall. Forget it. Let's all just stop. Can we concede that? Can we agree to that? Can we agree that, like, yeah, you did this, but maybe I said this, but here's what you said. Okay, let's just drop all that. Let's just start right now. Right now, let's just stop with the violence. Can we agree to that? Probably not. Major Garrett comes up next on the Chris and Amy Show on KMOX.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
If you're thinking about selling your home, I'm sure there are two things that you want: certainty and the most money, right? This is Debbie Monterey, and if you've been listening to me for some time, you know that the agent I trust is Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, St. Louis's real estate expert. Here's why she should be your first call when looking for an agent. Gloria does not make empty promises. She provides written guarantees. What does that mean for you? Certainty. Certainty isn't the only thing you want. You also want the most money. Gloria is able to get her home sellers more money than the average agent because she already has the buyers. This is why Gloria will guarantee to sell your home at your agreed upon price, or she will buy it. To get your guaranteed price, call St. Louis's real estate expert, Gloria Liu, at 314-325-6888. That's 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. Conditions apply. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date. GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
The cookie cutter approach works well if you're making cookies, but not so well when you're trying to plan for retirement. If you want a customized income strategy, call Steve All and his team at the All Financial Group today, 636-230-8824, or go to YourMoneyMattersSTL.com.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Steve All, NPN number 153-07419.
At 10:30, Sun 74 downtown. Former President Trump is getting set to receive the Republican presidential nomination for a third time. CBS News correspondent Tony DeCoppel's in Milwaukee.
And what you're seeing as we get further and further away from the assassination attempt is more of the political reality of difference creeping back in. And there are some policies that are really, really very, very different party to party.
We've got road work on 364 going east of Bryan Road. We've got just the right shoulder blocked there. For today, a high of 80. For tonight, the low 62. For tomorrow, sun with a high near 80. And for Saturday, a high of 84. Right now, we've got sun. It's 74. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
This summer, take a trip down memory lane with me and hear from the legends of baseball. I'm Brett Boone from the Brett Boone Podcast. Every week I have a conversation with one of baseball's greats to talk about the glory days and reflect on today's game. Randy Johnson, Pete Rose, Deion Sanders, Jay Buhner, Albert Bell, and Goose Gossage. They've all shared their wisdom with stories of their playing days. To hear who's next, follow and listen to the Brett Boone Podcast on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Our goal at NeoVitan is to make supporting your nutrition as easy as possible. That's why we created the NeoVitan monthly subscription. Just go to neovitan.com, choose your multivitamin, sign up, and we will do the rest. You'll receive your NeoVitan multivitamin every month with no long-term obligation. You can pause or cancel at any time, and shipping is free. Each NeoVitan multivitamin includes our physician-formulated proprietary blend for nutritional support you won't find anywhere else. Start supporting your nutrition the easy way with NeoVitan multivitamins. Sign up for a NeoVitan subscription today at neovitan.com.
Charlie Brennan once again with Dr. Colleen Bosler at the Audiology Center. Dr. Bosler, is it possible we might say, oh, those kids are mumbling, when the problem really is our own inability to hear?
Exactly. Hearing is integral in everything that we do. It keeps us involved and embraced in life. Not hearing someone is never normal. Ringing in the ears is never normal. And when people have a hearing loss, oftentimes they complain that they can hear, but they cannot understand people. And avoiding getting a hearing aid can have long-term effects on the speech reception area of the brain. So what that means is if you test and treat the hearing loss early with a hearing aid, we can prevent a decline in the speech understanding that can happen if the hearing loss goes untreated.
The words of Dr. Colleen Bosler at the Audiology Center. 3 locations in St. Louis, 636-441-7470, the Audiology Center, STL.com.
SNL Coin. We buy gold and silver coins, silver and gold jewelry. Also buying gold-filled and silver plates. Before you sell, call SNL. 314-544-3600. 314-544-3600. SNL Coin.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
For everything St. Louis Cardinals, it's Cardinals Conversations. Use the Odyssey app or hear it on your favorite podcast platform. From game analysis, player and management interviews, it's exclusive Cardinals content from KMOX Sports, where the Redbird talk never stops.
Chris Ranji, Amy Mark Scores. We are expecting to chat with CBS Chief Washington correspondent Major Garrett soon. Ranj, did you watch much of the RNC last night? I thought I was burned out, but lo and behold, I was able to suffer through a bit more of it. And watching J.D. Vance give his speech was striking on multiple levels, primarily being he did not give the typical traditional conservative talking points.
President Trump's vision is so simple and yet so powerful. We're done, ladies and gentlemen, catering to Wall Street. We'll commit to the working man.
And that was his focus. There was no discussion about abortion, a pro-life message, no discussion about faith, religious liberty. He didn't mention tax cuts. He focused so much on the working man, the working class, the laborers in Michigan, in Ohio. He talked about making corporations pay higher taxes in order to lift the burden off of the American worker who has been bearing the brunt of the costs for big business, big corporations. He also talked about tariffs. He talked about limiting free trade. It was a speech that I think 98% of it, Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders would have been fine with.
Well, that's great and all, but what is the evidence? And I'm not asking you. I'm asking him, what's the evidence that you are going to follow through with what you're saying? Because, yes, I think the worker, the average person, should be protected. I believe their wages should, generally speaking, go up. And they have a little bit, but not enough, I don't think. They can talk a big game about, let's stop coddling Wall Street and let's stop coddling the corporations. Okay, well then make legislation that does what you're saying instead of telling me that that's what you think should happen. Now, this is somebody who has said he's not really a huge fan of the right to work pushes that have happened around the country. The one that failed here in Missouri, for example, thankfully it failed, but he was not in favor of the PRO Act, which would have ended some loopholes for labor attorneys to be able to better protect workers if they decide to strike.
At the same time, he's been on record for months now praising members of the Biden administration, like the antitrust enforcer FTC chair Lina Khan. I mean, back in February, he talked about Lina Khan, and it's noted that Republicans in Congress have largely criticized Khan because of her antitrust pursuance. Also, Jonathan Cantor of the Justice Department, they said they've been burdening private companies with aggressive oversight, especially when it comes to mergers. And back in February, here's what J.D. Vance said about Khan. Quote, a lot of my Republican colleagues look at Lina Khan and they say, well, Lina Khan is sort of engaged in some sort of fundamental evil thing. And I guess I look at Lina Khan as one of the few people in the Biden administration that I think is doing a pretty good job. That is striking. That's quite a difference. And to discuss that more, including what's going on with President Joe Biden, we welcome in our weekly guest, Major Garrett, CBS Chief Washington correspondent. Major, good to talk with you today. It's been a heck of a week.
That's putting it mildly, Amy. Good morning from Milwaukee. I'm about a block away from Fiserv Forum, the arena hosting the Republican National Convention, Day 4. I can tell you everyone here is a little they're certainly anticipating President Trump's speech tonight. There's no question about that. There's a lot of Republican enthusiasm. We'll get to that in a minute because it is of a dimension and factor larger than any Republican convention I've ever covered before. But it's been an emotionally wrenching week. And I talked to delegates, I've talked to lawmakers, I've talked to people within the Trump campaign. Everyone feels, of course, relieved, deeply grateful, but also wrung out. They're spent. They're emotionally, physically worn out. And I could just say for myself, I am too. I landed in Milwaukee on Saturday, about 45 minutes after the assassination attempt in Butler County, Pennsylvania. My phone blew up. My producer and I and my crew screamed through traffic to get to downtown Milwaukee, plopped down on a street corner, threw up a live shot, and I was on television for 6 straight hours. Same thing was true all day Sunday, pouring right into the convention. It was an enormously heavy news day on Monday with J.D. Vance and all the excitement on the floor about that decision, which we have, I think, probably forgotten. It seems like it happened 6 months ago. It happened Monday to throw out the classified documents case against former President Trump. And then the convention has been off and running. So it's been a convention like no other. And I've started covering conventions in 1992. So I have some experience in this realm.
Major, I was kind of outlining J.D. Vance's speech and how it really represents a shift in the Republican talking points, how Elizabeth Warren probably liked the speech a lot. And I think he also is a long-term shift in the Republican Party, more in the image of Donald Trump and not in the fading specter of Reagan. So just to get your thoughts on what you're feeling at the Republican National Convention, whether it has to do with Vance or the overall environment.
Yeah. So very quickly, when I first started encountering Republicans in the late 80s and early 90s, and you would look in their libraries about economics, you'd find Milton Friedman, you'd find Francis Hayek, you'd find Ayn Rand. You would find those who talked about free markets, free trade, lower taxes, and basically that was it. Adam Smith, you'd find that book, Wealth of Nations. Now it's much more going back to things you would have seen written in the late 19th, early 20th century about tariffs and protectionism and antitrust and breaking up corporations and taking a hard line on behalf of those, not necessarily union workers. I want to make a distinction there, but working class Americans. That's an emphasis that is new. It has been completely laid over and basically bulldoze that old idea of free trade, free markets, and the like of those economists and thinkers that I mentioned were always in the bookshelves of Republicans I talked to in the late 80s, early 90s, and up through the 2000s. And that's noteworthy because when a major party makes such an ideological shift on fundamentals like economics and starts talking about economics in the way people did in the late 19th and early 20th century before the Great Depression, there are those in the Trump inner circle who are saying we can get rid of all income taxes, just tariffs, just putting taxes on goods that come into the United States from other countries. Well, we tried that in the late 19th and early 20th century, and many people believe that was a precursor cause of the global recession, which became a global depression in the late 1920s, early 30s. Whether that's true or not, it is now becoming something approximating orthodoxy within Republican circles. And when Sean O'Brien, the president of the Teamsters Union, gives a speech in prime time at a Republican convention that basically kicks corporate America in the shins or possibly slightly higher on primetime television, you know it's a different kind of Republican Party.
So we are also waiting to see what will happen with the current president, Joe Biden, as the calls for him to step aside have grown. And we know about the private meetings with Nancy Pelosi and Adam Schiff and Chuck Schumer. We're talking about the top of the Democratic Party aside from the president and vice president. What do you see happening next here?
Here are the fundamentals. I don't have any predictions. And I have talked to very experienced, plugged in Democratic strategists for 2 weeks who have gone up and down, blown hot and cold on what's going to happen with President Biden. And by that, I mean, he's going to drop out. I was hearing that 2 weeks ago. Oh, no. It's all over. No, it's back. No, it's all over. No, it's back. I'm telling you, people don't know what's going to happen, even those who are very, very, very plugged in. And here's why. I think we talked about this earlier. There is no eject button for the Democratic Party, okay? There is no means by which to say whether President Biden agrees with us or not, we are going to eject him. We are going to deny him the nomination. There is no process to achieve that. He has twice as many delegates as he needs. The roll call will be held virtually. No earlier than August 1st, but it could be held August 1st. Look at the calendar. That's 2 weeks. Okay? Absent the President of the United States making a decision on his own to remove himself from consideration as the Democratic Party's nominee, he will be the nominee. Now, the great question is, can he be persuaded to come to a decision that is different than the one he has come to every single day since the debate, when these calls began to move from private to public conversations? I don't know. And no Democrat I've talked to knows. But those who are whispering and suggesting he give this a very, very hard look are closer than ever to his inner circle, more prominent in the party than they've ever been. So that creates room for reconsideration for the president. But if he doesn't decide to step down, there is no means by which the Democratic Party can deny him the nomination.
Major, a rather unusual scene in Milwaukee. The video courtesy of Marsha Blackburn as U.S. senators literally chased down the head of the U.S. Secret Service. An investigation is ongoing into their preparation for the rally in Pennsylvania. What do you know about where we stand with that investigation?
Well, look, social media is a place where transparency or acts of attempted transparency can play out. And when you have two senators with their aides, I believe, following them in tow as they encounter the head of the Secret Service, and there is some effort to get the head of the Secret Service before Congress in a public forum and won't answer questions. Now, yes, the head of the Secret Service probably felt like this was a little confrontational, not necessarily the best or most natural place to answer hard questions. But guess what? When you're a senator and you have an aide with a cell phone, you're empowered to ask questions, especially of a matter of this gravity. And look, you don't need to hear me say it was a failure. Every American knows it was a failure. Now, having said that, the Secret Service succeeds almost all of the time on one of the hardest things to succeed at. Let's level set. The Secret Service does, and I've been covering the American presidency pretty much off and on since 2000.
Nope. Did we lose Major?
I think we lost Major.
Oh man, his phone cut out. This was exactly what I was the answer I was looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, from him.
Okay.
Like I was wondering what he feels since 2000, what he has seen. Like, yes.
Yes.
Tell me more.
Got it.
Should we go ahead and get him back on, or do we have time? Do we need to take a break? Really, it's up to Matt Pajeski to let us know. All right, yeah, we'll do that.
Let's do that.
We'll take a break. We'll hopefully reconnect with Major Garrett after this on KMOX.
Broadcasting from the Underlying Tree Lawyers, GetJim.com studios.
KMOX.
A weak White House, an invasion of illegals, and the woke mob attacking our values. That's what Phil Cristofanelli is fighting for Missouri's future. He supported sending the National Guard to secure the southern border. He defunded sanctuary cities. And Phil Cristofanelli backs the blue to keep our neighborhoods safe from gangs, fentanyl, and human traffickers. He's been named one of Missouri's most conservative legislators year after year. Cristofanelli stands up to the radical left and weak-kneed Republicans. Pro-life, he helped pass one of the nation's strongest anti-abortion laws and defunded Planned Parenthood. Pro-Second Amendment, he stood up for our gun owners and constitutional rights. And Cristofanelli is keeping men out of girls' sports and locker rooms. Phil Cristofanelli, an unwavering conservative for state senate.
Paid for by friends of Phil Cristofanelli, Dan Raker's treasurer.
Today we're constantly taking photos and videos to remember our favorite moments. But what about those captured before the smartphone? What about the memories tucked away on aging VHS tapes, film reels, or in fading photos?
These cherished memories are fading away with time, vulnerable to threats like heat, moisture, and mold. But fear not, there's a solution to safeguard your legacy. Hi, I'm Adam.
And I'm Nick. Together we founded Legacy Box over a decade ago with one mission, to bring your memories into the 21st century.
It's time to bid farewell to old tapes you can't watch and faded photos. Legacy Box transforms them into digital treasures, ready to share with a click.
Just like magic, your shoebox of memories is now safely stored in the cloud or on a thumb drive.
Over 1 million families have trusted Legacy Box, so you can rest assured your priceless moments are in good hands.
Don't let your childhood fade away on old tapes. It's time to digitize those priceless moments.
Fast forward into the digital age. Visit legacybox.com/value and unlock 50% off your order. That's legacybox.com/value.
Join Mark Patrick seminars and lose weight or stop smoking guaranteed. Early bird special only $49.99. Seminars Tuesday, August 13th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites St. Louis Airport in St. Louis, and Wednesday, August 14th at the 4 Points by Sheraton St. Louis Fairview Heights in Fairview Heights. Weight loss seminar 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking seminar 8 p.m.
Chris Ranji, Amy Mark scores, because life is too short for boring radio. Let the excitement begin. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Major Garrett is back with us. We had a connection issue, but we have him back. And Major, if you remember exactly where you were, or
yeah.
what
Tell me when my voice trailed off, or the cell bubble here in Milwaukee momentarily popped.
Well, we were talking about the Secret Service failure and the investigations that are coming.
And what you had said, what you'd seen
Since 2000, when you have been covering the White House.
So look, I've been around. I've traveled with the Secret Service along with anyone who's Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, Barack Obama, President Trump, President Biden. Been around the Secret Service for a long time. They work really hard. They have an incredibly difficult job, and they do it exceptionally well. But what happened Saturday is an inexcusable failure, and the lack of coordination and collaboration with local law enforcement allowed something that was, to most novices' view, when novices, and I'm a novice, okay? I've traveled and been to these places, been to venues, been in places of high security, but I'm still a novice, okay? I'm not highly trained in this particular space. But even if I look at that and say, wait a minute, that little place over there? What?
Yeah.
How can that not be occupied? I mean, just like, hey, nobody's up here except us, the good guys, okay? Nobody's up here because it's a direct line of sight. No, not happening. I don't understand that. And so these questions must be asked. They must be asked in a public way, and answers must be given. And if the answer is we screwed up, then somebody has to be held accountable, and it starts at the top.
Major, there's been a lot said about the head of the Secret Service's answer about not putting someone up there because the roof was sloped. And it feels like not a good enough answer, and an answer that just makes people ask more questions or go off on crazy theories. What did you make of her answer about the sloped roof?
That's an incompetent answer and a completely non-operationally rational answer. It's not a conspiracy. People do stupid things. People make mistakes. Human beings are fallible. And when failures happen, it's not always a conspiracy. People can make mistakes. Period.
Yes, speaking of conspiracy, as soon as the shooting happened, a lot of people immediately blamed the left for rhetoric that led to it. And the more we're finding out about the shooter, it appears he didn't really have a whole lot of political feelings, except he hated all politicians and had searched out Joe Biden. He had searched out Donald Trump. He had searched out Hakeem Jeffries. I mean, we're on both sides of the aisle. It looked like he was looking for any target he could find.
Right. And we have to ask ourselves, is our rhetoric, is our general national conversation about politics becoming so toxic that blindness of that kind, blind rage about people in the political arena, can lead to an event like this? I think all of us have to ask ourselves that. But I'm not going to just say all of us and say, oh, they're all the same, because one voice has been particularly noxious and abrasive in the political arena in our country since 2015, and it's been former President Trump's. That's a fact. He says things, and trust me, I started traveling with him in August of 2015. I've been to more than 100 Trump rallies. I know what it sounds like. Sometimes you think he's being funny. Sometimes you aren't quite sure, but you know it's different. And for his entire political career, that differentness has been a net advantage. But I think it is worth asking what it inspired in conversations on the left, what it has given a permission space for acolytes on the right in podcasts, in dark corners of the web, on other social media platforms, to talk about politicians and political life as basically a full-on act of corruptness and criminality. because that's sort of the gloss that goes over everything in politics now. If you disagree with me, you must be corrupt. You must be amoral. You might even be evil. Well, that leaves an impression on impressionable people. One thing we know pretty certainly about this shooter, he was a gun enthusiast. And that gives gun enthusiasts in this country of both parties, but there are more gun enthusiasts, I think, net in the Republican conservative parts of America than the liberal progressive parts of America, pause. Because gun enthusiasts who like guns do things on video games where guns are involved, wear T-shirts that are about gun enthusiasm, get an idea about politics and politicians that everything is terrible and they need to be taken out. Well, you put those two things together, it's a very dangerous mix. And all of us need to understand that mix took on a very threatening, and for one individual, Corey Compertore, lethal consequences, and two other individuals, nearly fatal consequences. And as many Republicans have told me here in Milwaukee, this is a convention, which means it's a celebration. It could quite easily have been a memorial service.
Got a few seconds left, Major. Who's on the takeout?
So we're doing this is kind of a home decorating term, potpourri,
Yeah.
So several different voices, all from here, Republicans, Democrats here at the convention. Scott Walker, former governor of Wisconsin, Brian Kemp, governor of Georgia, the Milwaukee County executive and Biden delegate David Crowley, and others on the takeout this week. And Vivek Ramaswamy. So that's the mix.
Fantastic. We'll talk to you next week.
See ya.
That is Major Garrett with us every Thursday after 10:30 right here on KMOX. When we come back, we're going to talk to Peter Castor, professor of history at Washington University, about the documents case, which has been dismissed. We'll get his take on it when we come back on the Chris and Amy Show.
877-ROTLER. 877-ROTLER. That is the number you need to call if you are dealing with any kind of pest in your home, whether it's mice or moles in the yard or ants in the kitchen. In fact, I went for a run the other day. I think I passed 2 or 3 Rottler trucks in the neighborhood. I mean, they are the pest control company that people trust. They have a reputation for personal service. That's tons of grassroots word of mouth saying, hey, if you've got an issue, you need to call them because you can trust them. When you call, they answer. They have an expert service team that they're always there to address your immediate concerns. They can dispatch pro technicians to your door the same day or the next day. They keep you informed on the whole process as they eliminate pests and protect your home and yard. I want to bring that up too. Don't let tunnels ruin your lawn. Rottler offers the most advanced and highly effective mole elimination programs available. It's year-round warranted protection. You don't even have to be home for them to do the service. 877-ROTLER, Rottler.com.
When you want a brand new kitchen, there's nothing to it. There's a brand new way to do it. 3-day kitchen and bath.
I had heard about 3-day kitchen and bath. I kind of always dismissed it thinking, well, nobody can do that in 3 days. I wanted somebody who was going to come when they said they would come and, do what they said they were going to do. What I liked best was having it done in, less than a week, the whole thing from top to bottom. Nobody could believe that I really had it done that fast. They absolutely held up to every single thing that they agreed to. I especially loved the fact that I didn't have to go out all over town. The overall quality was very good. All the workmanship was so excellent. They'll definitely do exactly what they say they're going to do. There's no surprises, no added costs later. They stay until everything's exactly the way you want it, and you're done.
Thanks, Lori. Check us out online at 3daykitchen.com.
At 3-day kitchen and bath.
What do Donna Vogt, Janet Williams, Susan Honor, and Jonathan Erst have in common? They're just some of the best fans in baseball and winners of a pair of tickets to an upcoming game at $100 to Rawlings. Want to get in on the winning? To get entered, head to KMOX.com/contests and upload a photo of you decked out in your game day attire. The best fans in baseball, presented by KMOX and Rawlings, the mark of a pro.
Do you limp out of bed with a sharp pain in your heel? Maybe it feels better when you start walking, but then bam, feels crippling when you get up from sitting again. that could be plantar fasciitis. This is Debbie Monterey. Take my advice and seek out the doctors at Feet for Life Podiatry for their decades of expertise with heel pain. Their advanced non-invasive procedures offer quick recovery times so you can enjoy your summer pain-free. Visit feetforlife.com for an appointment or ask for a virtual visit if you're out of state. Feetforlife.com.
KMOX, KECK HD2, K254CR, St. Louis.
The home of the Cardinals, KMOX. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Ad paid for by AG Marketing Group. Attention timeshare owners. If you need to get rid of your timeshare for any reason, please listen to the following message. Getting out of a timeshare commitment is not easy, and it takes time. But we specialize in helping consumers legally get rid of their expensive timeshares forever. Can't get the vacation dates that work for you? Maybe you felt taken advantage of or forced into the timeshare? Maybe you just can't continue to shoulder those monthly payments any longer. If you need to eliminate your timeshare commitment, then you need to take down this number, 800-866-7061. We will safely and legally get rid of your timeshare payments forever, all with a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Don't continue to let your timeshare be a financial burden to you and your loved ones. Call us now at 800-866-7061. The call is free. The consultation is free. Call 800-866-7061. That's 800-866-7061. Again, 800-866-7061.
Mid-America's most trusted source for news. KMOX.
At 11 o'clock, we've got sun. It is 75 degrees downtown at the Arch. Our top story this hour, Donald Trump will accept a third straight GOP presidential nomination tonight with a primetime address in Milwaukee.
It will be Trump's first speech since surviving last weekend's assassination attempt, a moment of survival that shaped the Republican convention's first 3 days.
You will never be able to convince me that that last second turn of a head was anything other than a miracle.
Running mate J.D. Vance this morning. Trump has appeared at the convention with a white bandage covering an ear wound. He said the shooting led him to change tonight's speech from what was to be a humdinger attacking President Biden to one focused on unity. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
RNC delegate and Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft is in Milwaukee. He tells what he thinks tonight's speech will be like.
He's come down to the floor a couple of times. He's obviously been in the audience listening, but when he walked out to that stage, we're going to make a Taylor Swift concert seem like it's quiet.
Antiquest has new Native American statues in place.
White people can't do something.
The old statue stood on the corner of Cherokee and Jefferson Avenue since the 80s. It sparked some controversy back in 2021 and was removed for being a bit too cartoonish. Sherry Elder of Elder's Antiques has been working with others on Cherokee Street to get new statues put in its place.
Let's do it respectfully, but let's just figure out a way of doing this right.
They found world-renowned artist Eddie Morrison, a Native American and Cherokee, and he produced a family of 3 statues, a man, woman, and child.
We just wanted to make sure that we were honoring the Cherokee people accurately, and he was the best in the world.
There's a dedication on Saturday at 11 before a fundraiser at Bluewood Brewery to cover the remainder of the cost it took to get it done. Elder says they raised about $30,000. Stuart McMillan, KMOX News.
A Bankrate survey found that more than 1/3 of Americans are turning to side hustles to bring in extra money. Business analyst Jill Schlesinger says there are some important things to remember.
If you make more than $400 in a calendar year, you need to keep a record of income received and any expense that's business related. It may be easier to do this if you open a separate bank account solely dedicated to the business. Next, Uncle Sam will take a slice of your side hustle income. That means that you need to estimate the taxes that will be due next April and keep that money set aside. Once you have a better idea of the tax hit, you can either make quarterly tax payments to the IRS or your state of residence, or you can boost your withholding at work to cover your additional tax obligation.
The KMOX Business Desk, what's the biggest sale item?
The big winner on Amazon's Prime Day, trash bags. Market researcher Numerator says among the most purchased items of the week's actual 2-day Prime Day were Amazon Fire Sticks, protein shakes, and Glad brand garbage bags. Kimberly Adams, Bloomberg Radio.
The Dow from Stifel down 262 points to 40,935.
Mostly sunny and pleasant this afternoon with low humidity and a high around 80. Clear skies tonight and cool, low 62. Mostly sunny tomorrow, high 80. Saturday, partly sunny, high 84. This is AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on the Voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
We've got sun. It's 75 in Florissant and St. Peter's and 75 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
The Chris and Amy Show on KMOX. Brought to you by Together Credit Union. Check out their new Empower checking account and earn 5% interest on balances up to $25,000.
Clarence Thomas, in his dissent, said that independent prosecutors appointed by the Attorney General aren't legit. I don't agree with Clarence Thomas' dissent and or the Supreme Court decision on immunity.
That's President Biden talking about the decision by Judge Eileen Cannon last week to entirely dismiss the classified documents case against former President Trump, citing the appointment of special counsel Jack Smith as being unconstitutional. To discuss the constitutionality of that entire thing and the decision, Peter Castor is professor of history and American culture studies at Washington University and is with us now on KMOX on the Quiver River Electric guest line. Good morning, Peter. Thank you for being with us.
Oh, good morning. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, so let's get your thoughts on that ruling itself. It was sort of, I think it stunned a lot of us that was going to happen. We thought that there would be certainly a challenge to the case. Didn't think it would be an outright dismissal by Judge Cannon, though.
No, and I was really surprised by the decision as well, primarily because what she said was that this kind of appointment is, as you said, unconstitutional. It's invalid. And what was so surprising to many observers is that other special prosecutors had held these appointments before. They'd been challenged in court. They'd been upheld by the U.S. Supreme Court. So this decision doesn't just have implications for the Trump documents case. It doesn't even just have implications for the other Trump cases. It has implications for any situation where there's the possibility of investigating what a president does.
And for perspective for our listeners, you have spent the past 20 years studying this subject, and you'll soon be launching a website that, as you said, reconstructs the federal workforce, including almost 37 civil and military officials, and including those who require presidential nomination and those who don't. That's looking back over how many years?
So I really wanted to focus on the founding fathers on their era. So I went from 1789 to 1829, had about 37,000 employees in the who served in the federal government at one time or another during that period. And one of the big questions was, when does the president, the Constitution states that certain federal officials must be nominated by the president and then receive advice and consent by the Senate. And that was at the heart of Cannon's decision. She said that this official should have been nominated by the president and gone through advice and consent by the Senate. And in the absence of that, his appointment was invalid. And personally, I think her decision doesn't align with my understanding of the current law and certainly my study of how the founding fathers understood positions like that. But it's what's going to make this such a it's what made it such a surprising decision from her.
That particular ruling, I think, confused a lot of people, and I've seen legal scholars and legal analysts who, for the most part, appear to be confused by that ruling, as they have been confused by a lot of rulings of hers on this case over the last many months. Do you feel the same way about some of these rulings, or do they, or can they, have some of them made sense?
So her decision, some of her decisions make perfect sense. They were the normal procedural decisions that judges need to make in this decision, in this in this type of case. Some of the decisions took a long time, but that also made sense because it was this unprecedented circumstance of a former president being brought to trial. But then there are individual decisions that I found perplexing, that other people found perplexing, and that in a particularly important case from last year when she ordered the review of all the individual documents, the appeals court didn't just find it perplexing, they found it just completely wrong and overturned her decision, and did so in a way in their decision that gave a pretty harsh criticism of Cannon's own decision. The other reason I think it's confusing to many Americans is because this whole question of how people get appointed to federal office, who has to be involved with it, it's something most people don't see all the time. They're unfamiliar with it. It's the kind of thing that historians like me and legal scholars spend a lot of time thinking about, but it's not something most Americans know about, and rightly so. It's not surprising that people would be confused by her decisions and then really confused by this decision because it's about a very particular area of law and government.
When you have studied that era of the founders, and there's so much talk about whether it's the Constitution and originalism, what would be the original intent of the founding fathers, what would be a layman's understanding of how the founders intended appointments or the federal workforce to operate, to be counted as valid?
That's a great question. And I know that's partly what Cannon was writing about in her own opinion. So not only during the Constitutional Convention, but to me, critically, during the first years afterwards, when many veterans of the convention were in James Madison was serving in the House of Representatives. They had to answer this question. The first thing they concluded was that the federal government needed a workforce. They did not reject the notion of a federal government. They thought it was important. There had to be employees. There were crucial tasks for them. And they, in fact, authorized a workforce with a growing number of people. They believed all of that was important. They believed at first it was uncertain who would be in charge. Would it be the president? Would it be Congress? Would it be both? They concluded the president has to run this. That's the only efficient way to have things happen. And they believed that the president should have broad discretion in who served in that government. So why did they require the Senate to do advice and consent for some offices? Not for all of them, but for some of them. It's because they believed in what we all learn in high school. They believed in checks and balances, that there had to be ways to prevent the president from violating the law. There had to be ways to prevent the president from assembling a group of people around him who could become some force for tyranny. And that actually was the inspiration for the system that we have now, the system that was investigating Donald Trump. This really started as a result of Watergate, where the question was, who can investigate the president? The president should not choose who investigates the president. That seems ludicrous. So the idea was that the attorney general, the chief law enforcement official in the United States, should determine when it is necessary to have someone who is outside of government be appointed to independently investigate the government, and that the attorney general should select who that person actually is. And that was first done during the Watergate crisis. It was later the case during the 1980s and 1990s. And actually, most recently, it was the process that was in use for the classified documents investigation of Joe Biden. So that's the process that we have. And that's why the president doesn't select this person, because the assumption is, in keeping with the founders' notion that there must be checks on the president, that the president should not select who investigates the president.
When I ask this question, and we are visiting with Professor of History and American Culture Studies at WashU, it is Peter Castor with us. I hope this makes sense. I'm afraid that it's not going to. But when you hear the argument made by people who are, for example, very pro Second Amendment. The argument they make is, well, the founding fathers were against tyranny, and therefore they wanted us to have a mechanism to overtake the government in case the government overreached. It seems like those same people are also making the argument that the president should have some absolute powers in a sense. So there's a lot of dissonance for me on that. Does that make any sense to you? Or because there's a comparison that I'm drawing, and maybe there's just isn't one.
Oh, no, it makes complete sense to me. It's the kind of discussions that people have all the time in two ways. One is not just what is the wording of the Constitution, but what did that mean to the founding fathers when they were, to the authors of the Constitution when they were writing it, and then to the people who had to implement it. But also one thing that is often the case is that people will believe that government should be limited on certain issues, it should be less limited on others, and often that aligns with what people want. People are often inclined to do that. They'll say, no, the government cannot intrude in this area of my life because I don't want it intruding there, but it's completely reasonable for the government to be involved in this other area because I support it operating there. And again, those issues play out all the time. And what's always striking to me as a historian of early America is the degree to which Americans still look to the founders to help us understand these moments. And what we argue about all the time is they operated in such a different setting that there are often situations where what they were grappling with simply doesn't apply to our own current moment. And those often create the most difficult and most divisive challenges for us.
Yeah, and speaking of our current moment, we look at the framework the founders set up with the checks and balances in our system of government and how they were able to anticipate so many abuses of power. Is it fair to say that one reason why now we have so much division, so much confusion and disagreement among experts is that the founders didn't expect someone with the behavior, lifestyle of Trump? He's such an aberration, so rather recalcitrant when it comes to norms that we find the system shaking a bit under his weight.
I think that's correct. I think that the founding fathers certainly didn't anticipate someone exactly like Donald Trump, but they did anticipate someone sort of like him. They had real fears that you could have someone who was so charismatic that he would mobilize large numbers of people in ways that were dangerous. That's part of the reason why they were concerned about having direct election. It's not the only reason we have an electoral college, but it was one of the reasons for it. They also they were operating at a time before presidential candidates could communicate directly to the American public. They were operating at a time when newspapers were mediating factors, that the distances separating people made it very difficult. So they couldn't foresee people like him or any other candidate who uses television, social media, any of those mechanisms. But what I would say, and I want to emphasize this because I'm not going to weigh in on whether the founders would have wanted someone like Trump or they wouldn't have, because that's in fact the very decision that Americans are going to make when they go to the ballot box. And I think it's better for them to make that decision than for me to make it for them. But what I would say is that in these arguments about, for example, the classified documents case or any one of these, what we are seeing, no matter which side you're on, are Americans arguing, and this is what amazes me, Americans are arguing about the very issues now the founders were debating almost 250 years ago. How much power should a president have? What systems should restrain or release the president? Are there should the president really represent the American people against what the president sees as other forces of political corruption? And I agree with you. Americans are really divided on this, but they're divided on answering many of the same questions. How much power should a president have? What are appropriate restraints on the president? And whether, and I think she was aware of it, Judge Cannon was in fact making a really big statement about that in her decision.
Professor of History and American Culture Studies at Washington University, Peter Castor. Again, thank you for the information and expertise. As always, we appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much for having me here today.
That is Dr. Peter Castor. That is Amy Marxkors I'm looking at. I'm Chris Ranji. This is KMOX.
When you have Rhino Shield on your house, it does a couple of things for you. It beautifies the house, and it protects it from the harshest elements. And boy, do we see those here in the greater St. Louis area. You get instant curb appeal. It will stick to anything. Rhino Shield is the answer, no matter whether you're painting a home or a church or a business or a condo, because it's 100% waterproof. It takes care of the outdoor maintenance on whatever is on the outside of your home. The brick, the block, aluminum, steel, stucco. They can put this on with the 2 to 3 coat process. They're there about a week, and they do a great job. A lot of businesses have done it in the area. Several Firestones have done that. Vantage Credit Union over the years, Harlan Packaging down in DeSoto. Call Darren today and schedule your free estimate. 877-25-RHINO, easy to remember phone number, or go online today at 877-25-RHINO.
I'm Dave Glover, and I see clearly now thanks to the doctors, Dr. Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Brusati, Andy Royer, and Samuel Barry. You can too. Just go to youridoc.com.
Conservatives need real America First warriors to take the fight to the swamp. But Bob Onder attacked President Trump, proudly voted against him, and opposed Trump on China because Bob Onder is just another career politician we can't trust. Conservatives for American Excellence, Inc., paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. ConservativesForAmericanExcellence.com.
Stop for a moment and think about this. Do you know how much money in your 401k or IRA is actually yours? Or will the government take a bigger chunk than you thought? Remember, you still might owe taxes on that money. But do you have a plan to help make sure you don't pay more than you should? At Fira Capital Management, formerly Heisey Advisory Group, we believe you deserve to keep more of what you've earned, which is why we're here to help you navigate the confusing world of retirement taxes. It's your money. You deserve to know what's at stake. Right now, taxes are historically low, but they won't be this low forever. So call Fira Capital Management today so you don't miss out on this opportunity. 314-328-4400. That's 314-328-4400. You work hard for your money, and we'll work just as hard to help you keep it. Fira Capital Management, 314-328-4400. Investment advisory services made available through Pine Ridge Advisors, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Securities made available through AE Financial Services, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC. Firm may not give tax advice.
Stacy here from Fairwinds River's Edge, an award-winning independent living community in St. Charles. Voted Best Independent Living by U.S. News and World Report, we provide life-enhancing senior services to support your best self. In our active community for adults 55 plus, you'll cultivate connections in a community that feels like home. And for your first 3 months, we are offering 50% off rent. Apartments start at $39.95. Visit fairwindsriversedge.com to learn more.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Discussing what matters to you, your family, your money, your health. KMOX. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
You can follow us on Twitter at Chris Amy KMOX. Are you following us? You better be. If you're not, straight to jail for you. We had a Twitter poll yesterday, and we asked this question, which I think is an important question. What do you enjoy watching the most? And your options are the Olympics, any professional all-star game, or the RNC. So there are 10 minutes left to vote, but I think we're going to have our winner here.
Can you say it?
Yeah. Amy, what do you think has an overwhelming nearly 87% of the vote?
The Olympics.
It is. 86.6% of people would prefer to watch the Olympics. Just over 10% say they would watch any professional all-star game, and almost 3.5% say the RNC.
Well, there you go.
So
I've been thinking a lot about this discussion we've had about rhetoric, right? And how we've talked about the violent rhetoric. And I get that. There has always been more terminology and metaphors used in political discourse. As Michael Kelly, John Hancock say, politics is a substitute for war. I think one thing that has changed or perhaps been exacerbated is the way we dehumanize the other side and demonize the other side and consider the other side evil, to the point that discussion and compromise are disdained and disagreement is not tolerated. And this is something that Major Garrett talks about, the books like Adam Smith, Wealth of Nations, and Hayek, and so forth, of true conservatives. And a true conservative is a classical liberal. And as a classical liberal, what you understand is there is nothing intrinsically holy about unity. There's nothing that is moral about unity, because you know who was unified? The Nazis, the communists, the fascists, and socialists. But here's my point, and I think Jonah Goldberg talks about this a lot. Democracy was created to accommodate differences and disagreement. The 13 colonies along the eastern seaboard, those represented people, religions, faiths, and lifestyles that ravaged Europe with war. And so you had to create a system of government that allowed for disagreement. Democracy is about disagreement. But what we've always had is, if you picture the food pyramid, we agreed on the foundation. Right? That's where the unity was.
Right.
It's the top of the food pyramid. It's all the policies that we can disagree with. But right now, because we're not allowing disagreement at the top of the food pyramid, we're starting to chip away at the foundations of democracy in the name of unity. And that's what bothers me, is we're demonizing the other side and saying, well, I'm going to get rid of this foundation.
When I say unity, or when I hear other people say it, I guess what I want them to be thinking is, we have disagreements on policy or with the way things should be, but we are all together on this.
Yep.
That's what I think it is. So
we're all Americans.
I think you and I don't agree on how a lot of things should go, but we have unity. And that's what I'm talking about. In the immediate aftermath of 9/11, and I'm talking the days after, there might have been some voices who were right away blaming the Bush administration. But if there were, they weren't very loud, and there weren't very many of them. The vast majority of people were, okay, we're behind the president, let's go. In the immediate aftermath of what happened on Saturday, it took minutes before people were blaming the left and blaming Democrats for that shooting. And the more we find out about the shooter, the more we learn it didn't sound like it was politically motivated at all. And the only political feelings that guy had was that he hated all politicians. And he was Googling several different politicians on both parties, and it looked like he was trying to find the first person he could kill. So, anyway. Can't wait for the Olympics.
Go Team USA. That's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to put on my USA sweatshirt.
Yeah, we're going to all be Team USA.
You're darn tootin'.
We're going to root for them.
We're going to root and toot for the USA.
That's right. Like rooting against the women's soccer team because we don't like their politics.
Come on,
we're not going to do that.
Just be patriotic.
That's what I'm talking about.
1 second.
Unity, dog.
Get a grip.
Let's talk some Cardinals. We will give you the birds with Chip Carey when we come back on KMOX.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the Relief Hotline at 800-522-2174. 800-522-2174. 800-522-2174.
Summertime is the best time to enjoy the outdoors and enhance the appearance of your home. Banner Construction can make your home the showplace of the neighborhood with maintenance-free James Hardie siding and beautiful Pella replacement windows. Drive up to your home with a renewed pride. Visit bannerconstruction.com or call 314-569-1050. Get a free in-home design and estimate. Call 314-569-1050 and have a banner day. 314-569-1050.
Hi, this is Ken Newbold for Newbold Toyota and Newbold BMW, a family-owned dealership group that has been around for 50 years as a Toyota dealer and 25 years in O'Fallon, Illinois. So come see us. That's Newbold Toyota in O'Fallon or newboldtoyota.com. You'll be sold on Newbold.
At 11:30, Sun 76 downtown. It's the last day of the Republican National Convention. Donald Trump is expected to officially accept the nomination. His pick for Vice President J.D. Vance gave his first address last night. CBS's Caitlin Huey-Burns is in Milwaukee.
He mentioned Michigan and Pennsylvania 5 times each. And that just goes to show how this campaign is really going to be run through those states, trying to shore up that working class base that the campaign wants to shore up, especially since the Biden team has identified those 3 states as their clearest path to victory.
We've got Gravois between Laclede Station and Weber going east is closed. We've also got a crash on 44 going east at Six Flags. The 2 left lanes are closed there, and a crash on 70 westbound before Grand. That's got the left lane closed. This afternoon, sunny and pleasant with a high of 80. For tonight, low 62. Tomorrow's high near 80. Right now, sun 76 downtown. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Broadcasting from the Underlaw Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studios.
KMOX.
When it comes to affordable term life insurance, everyone's whistling the Big Lou tune. If you're over 50, maybe a bit porky, or have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost about $200 a month. Even if you're not in perfect health, call Big Lou, because he specializes in finding big chunks of affordable term life insurance for just about everyone. Don't let diabetes or other health glitches keep you from owning $500,000 to $1 million or more of term life insurance. For affordable term life insurance, call Big Lou. Don't hesitate. Call 800-700-6898, 800-700-6898, or visit biglou.com.
Call Big Lou, don't hesitate. 800-700-6898. Call Big Lou, don't hesitate. 800-700-6898. Visit biglou.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
At Onder Law, we deliver big judgments for the little guy. Onder Law takes on the biggest industries and holds them accountable. Call today for a free review at 314 or 618-9-MILLION.
The St. Louis Cardinals are one of the hottest teams in baseball right now. Following the All-Star break, they continue their push for the playoffs as they take on the Braves Friday night. Hear it here and every Redbirds game on your home of the St. Louis Cardinals, KMOX.
Hi, I'm Paul Goldschmidt. I'm Cardinals outfielder Lars Nootbaar.
I'm Wilson Contreras. Now, Chris and Amy give you the birds.
I'm Adam Wainwright, and you're listening to the voice of the Cardinals, KMOX.
Flipped into center field, a base hit. 1 run scores. Johnny around third. Crow Armstrong has no play. Mason Wynn does it again.
This Cardinals report is brought to you by Renner Garage Door. Family owned and top rated. RENNER. It's the same forward and back. RennerDoorSTL.com. It's Amy Marks Kors and Chris Ranji. We are getting ready for baseball. We're going to have to wait another day, though. Tomorrow, the Cardinals will play against the Braves in Atlanta. And that's why we are talking to this gentleman. He is the television play-by-play voice for the Cardinals and also spent a lot of time with the Atlanta Braves. His family has history with the Braves organization. On the Quiver River Electric guest line, it is Chip Caray joining the show. Hello, Chip.
Hi, guys. How you doing?
Man, we're having a great time. So I understand you are on the way to Atlanta?
Yeah, we're actually stopping for lunch in beautiful Valdosta, Georgia. I don't know if anybody's ever spent time in Valdosta. It's pretty much midway between where I live in Florida and Atlanta. And we managed to find the only restaurant in South Georgia that doesn't have sweet tea. I don't know how that's possible.
Wow.
We managed to do it.
It's a staple.
Is that legal?
I feel like calling it the Georgia Bureau of Investigation while we're here. But we're on our way north to Atlanta. Looking forward to getting the second half started tomorrow night.
It's very exciting. It feels like it's been a long time since we've watched some Cardinal baseball, and they were moving in the right direction. With the All-Star break, we were talking to John Rooney yesterday about it. Did you get much into the Home Run Derby or the All-Star game, Chip, or do you just kind of completely clock out for a couple of days?
I watched a little bit of it. My 15-year-old son is into it, so we sat and watched some of that. We didn't really pay a whole lot of attention to the game. I would have been more locked in if more Cardinals have been participating and understand why. That wasn't the case this year. But, we do so many games, and for those of us who don't live in St. Louis year-round, and my family stays in Florida for the most part because of school obligations and the like, a chance to get away from baseball and clear your mind and reset mentally and physically and all of that stuff for 4 days is really, really important. At least it has been for me. So I can't speak for my colleagues, but I would imagine that if you polled most of the people who do what we do, getting away from it for a couple of days is always a good idea and probably helps you recharge the batteries faster for the second half.
Ryan Helsley, who was an all-star, was able to do that at least physically. He did not pitch in that game. He removed himself from it just because, I'm assuming, for health reasons. I've always felt, Chip, and I wonder how you feel about pitchers for the team that you're following and care about. I kind of like it when they don't have to participate, just because I want them to take that 3 or 4 days. It used to be 3 or 4. Now it's all 4. I want them to take that time to reset. How do you feel about that?
Each guy is different. Each guy has their own methodology, right? I mean, the big key for Ryan is to stay healthy and stay available. And I think Ollie and his staff have done a remarkable job, not just with Ryan, but with the rest of the guys in the bullpen and managing their workload and making sure that they aren't overused so that over these final 65, 66 games, whatever it is, that they're going to be available as much as possible when the games matter most and they're dwindling and trickling away. To your point, though, yeah, I mean, it's great to see your guy represent your team. I mean, look, ask a Pirate fan. They wanted to see Paul Skeens go out there and do what he did against the American League's best. That's a wonderful feather in his cap, a wonderful accomplishment, and one that's well-deserved. And it was great for our industry. The same thing for Corbin Burns in Baltimore, what he's done with the Orioles. I'm looking forward to a day when we have 2 or 3 different Cardinals pitchers pitching an inning in that game, because that means the organization is healthier, the players are better, and we're in a better spot in the standings. And hopefully that time's coming soon.
When the Cardinals get going tomorrow night in Atlanta, they will go in as the second wild card currently. The Braves are the first wild card in the National League. Then it's the Cardinals and the Mets. And there are still, Chip, there are pretty much every team in the National League, with the exception of the Nationals, Rockies, and Marlins, within 3.5 games of a playoff spot right now. So it is still pretty bunched up in the National League.
Very much so, and that's what makes these games so important. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. The week and a half before the All-Star break and the week and a half after is really moving time. You have a chance to, if you come out and aren't flat-footed, take advantage of some of those teams that either you're chasing or are chasing you. And, yeah, we took 2 out of 3 from Atlanta in St. Louis. This will be a big series against the Braves, who have a push in them yet to be made. Truist Park is a tough place for visitors to play. The Braves play very, very well there historically. And then it's on to Pittsburgh, where you figure to get at least 2 of their big guns in rotation against the Pirates, and that's a really, really good team as well. So this first road trip, not an easy one. The schedule, not an easy one, but I think the Cardinals' play since Mother's Day has allowed them a chance to dream big and utilize these first 10 days before the trade deadline to figure out exactly what they need, identify that, and hopefully go out and get it and add to a pretty exciting roster as it stands right now.
Cardinals are well past the technical halfway point. They've played 96 games this year, but it is the official second half of the season that gets started tomorrow. Who will be the most important players for the Cardinals in maintaining their playoff position, or giving the Brewers a run for the top of the division?
Well, look, we've said all year that Arenado and Goldschmidt have not been Arenado and Goldschmidt, and they haven't. They have not performed as they historically have. We're seeing signs and glimmers of that right before the All-Star break, that those two guys are starting to swing it a little better. Cardinals offensively, as they stand now, are a very left-handed dominant team, and that's difficult to overcome when you face an opposing left-handed starter or opposing teams have two or three lefties in their bullpen. Getting right-handed balance, getting power and slug from Contreras and Arenado and Goldschmidt is going to be extremely important for St. Louis going forward. And in lieu of that, I think, in my opinion, going out and getting a guy who can help you out in center field, for example, as a right-handed bat is going to be really, really important. But to single out one guy or just two guys really isn't fair. The team has to play the way that they have played since Mother's Day. I think if they have a realistic shot of doing that, and I have full confidence that they can. There's a hunger in that locker room. There's a drive in that locker room, and I think those guys can see what they're capable of doing, and I think Cardinals fans should be really excited about that.
Because of the thing I mentioned a moment ago, or we talked about a moment ago, with all of those teams in the National League still in it, that's a lot of teams who might be reluctant to make deals. So it limits the amount of talent that the Cardinals can go after prior to the trade deadline, which is less than 2 weeks away. So, you're talking about a right-handed bat. A lot of people have said the same thing. Bullpen help, despite the fact the bullpen's been pretty good. You can always use an extra arm. Starting rotation, maybe. What direction do you think they will end up going, if you had to guess?
I think it all comes down to cost-benefit analysis, right? It's what are you going to get? What's it going to cost you? I mean, that's really the bottom line, no matter whether you're the Yankees or the Dodgers or the Cardinals. I think Mo and his staff have done a really good job of restocking the farm system and giving themselves some options to use as trade pieces or get them up to the major league club. Look, that's way above my pay grade. But I don't think you're going to see any team mortgage the future for a chance to make the wild card. I think the Cardinals have bigger fish to fry. I think that they believe that they can catch Milwaukee. They're 4.5 games out of first place. They did not play well against them in the first 7 games. They've got 6 head-to-head. You win those 2 series, and all of a sudden it's a different ball game. And I think that's the run that St. Louis has in them. But ultimately, we got to wait and see what this next week does, how that unfolds for the Cardinals. And once we know that, then we'll see what direction Mo is able to go and what direction he and ownership are willing to go to.
Are you surprised with how this season is unfolded, considering the first month of the year not very good, and then here they are playing really good baseball for 2 months?
No, not really. I think we all figured that last year was an aberration. I've said it before, coming to the Cardinals from another place. We don't realize, I don't think fans realize how lucky and fortunate they are. There are 9th graders in St. Louis that experienced 1 losing baseball season. I mean, that's incredibly rare, and it's an incredible track record that just about any organization in front office would be envious of having. And I think Mo in the front office and ownership all went out and identified a big glaring problem, which was the lack of starting pitching and lack of bullpen depth. They took care of that. Can they do more? Probably. Are there some options that are in-house that might get a chance to show their stripes? Yeah, I think those are possibilities as well. But I think what surprised us is how poorly they hit early on, but how well they pitched. And I think if we can find a happy balance between those two things, you'll see more play like after Mother's Day than before it. And that's, as I said before, going to be the key for the Cardinals to get to postseason play in 2024.
Chip Caray is with us right now on KMOX, and you go from a series in which the Cardinals are playing a team that you used to work for. You called a lot of Cubs games, called plenty of Braves games. So this is a nice little run for you, a trip down memory lane for Chip Caray, getting to visit these teams.
It's really fun walking around the fans and being told things about your wife and mom that you didn't know.
Wait,
That's
really?
great.
Come on, no way.
Really?
No, but it's no, I'm kidding. No, but it's fun. I
Well,
mean,
Cubs
I'm really
fans might
proud
do
of-
that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, that speaks volumes. No, I'm really proud of what I did in Chicago and trying to follow Harry Carey, whether you're related to him or not, was not an easy thing to do. And I'm really proud of what I was able to do in Atlanta, working with my dad and carrying on his legacy. And I'm really, really excited and proud of what I'm doing with a wonderful crew and great partners in St. Louis. But it's always good to go back and see old friends. It's always good to go back and walk down, as you said, memory lane and remember the good times and see all the people that you got to spend those good times with. But more importantly, it's really fun when you win series against them. And the Cardinals have been able to do that against the Cubs in recent time. As I said, they won the series against the Braves. They won the last series in Atlanta last year, and I'd love nothing better than to head to Pittsburgh on a very, very happy flight.
Well, Chip, don't worry about the nasty comments because Kent Earhart, a meteorologist here, said after he would break in, with storm coverage, break into people's shows, he said he got a lot of emails of people telling him to stick his Doppler radar where the sun don't shine.
That is
Well, that's the whole purpose of Doppler radar, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of redundant.
That is every
but-
meteorologist in every city, every time
Yeah.
they break in, they all get the same messages from people.
Yeah, it's wonderful, isn't it? All we're trying to do is help. That's all.
I'm trying to
But,
watch Dancing with the Stars. I don't want to watch this.
Yeah.
We're saving lives. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Well, it's going to be a fun series. It's going to be a fun road trip. We're looking forward to getting the second half started. And as I said, the Cardinals finished strong since mid-May. And, we've got 10, 12 days to see what direction they go. I think it's trending in the right direction. Hopefully that'll be the case.
Enjoy the trip. Thanks for being with us, Chip Carey.
Pleasure's mine, guys. We'll see you on TV tomorrow night.
That is Chip Carey, again for Bally Sports Midwest, calling Cardinals baseball. The game tomorrow gets started at 6:20. We, on our pregame show, because we got the broadcast here on KMOX, 98.7 FM, 1120 AM, and the free Odyssey app. Pregame starts at 5:25. And I'll tell you this, of many of the fan bases in the country, the Cubs / Chicago fans are not afraid to tell you what they think.
No, they're
To
not.
your face.
No, I would say Chicago fans and Philly fans, because Chicago fans don't.
New York,
They don't
Boston.
boo Santa Claus. They don't throw batteries at you.
Who, the Cubs fans?
Yeah,
No,
they'll
they don't
beat
do
you
that.
up in the parking lot, but they're not going to boo
Yeah.
Santa Claus.
No, they'll just beat you up in the bleachers.
Yeah,
That's where, and actually, most of the fights happen at Sox Park.
really.
Those bleachers.
All I know
always
is
fights.
I went to game 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Boston Bruins at TD Garden back in 2019. And there were 3 huge fights in the first period with lots of fans getting thrown out. And all of the fights were between
Yep.
Bruins fans. They
Yep.
were fighting each other.
Yeah. I don't know what
and
it is,
3
man.
people threw up. It was quite a thing.
Well, you can't
What's
say it's
going
not.
on in
can't say
Boston?
well, you can't say it's not fun, and it's fewer families and more groups of friends.
It was way fewer
And they will
families.
fight you.
And throwing up is never fun.
Well, not for the person doing it. That's when it's the worst.
That's the worst.
Amy Marks Kors and Chris Ranji again. Baseball comes back tomorrow against the Braves. The Cardinals will be in Atlanta, 6:20 for the first pitch right here on KMOX.
Rottler Pest Control. You heard Charlie Brennan tell you about Rottler Pest Control. And if you are my family and friends, you've heard me talk about Rottler for a while now. So I'm glad to be able to talk about Rottler on KMOX because they are a family-owned company, a third-generation company. They have a reputation for personal service, and also they're Quality Pro certified. Rottler bears the seal of excellence in pest management granted by the National Pest Management Association. And that matters when you're dealing with hard to control pests like ants, which I think are deemed the toughest pest to control, or moles that are tearing up your yard, especially right now. I mean, this is when moles ruin your lawn. We've had all this rain. Don't let the tunnels ruin all the hard work you've done all year round. Rottler, their mole program, it's advanced, it's highly effective. It's the most highly effective mole program available. It is year-round, warranted protection, and it has non-invasive exterior treatments, so you don't even have to be home for Rottler to do the service. It's not going to interrupt your day waiting for the guy to come. You don't have to worry about that. Give them a call today, 877-ROTTLER, 877-ROTTLER, or visit Rottler.com.
What better way to support your nutrition than with the multivitamin that was created right here in St. Louis? Neovitin Original Multivitamin was created by St. Louis physician Dr. Ribicki to support his own nutrition when he needed it most. Now, Neovitin Original Multivitamin is formulated with sensible doses of vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and Dr. Ribicki's proprietary blend to give you nutritional support you won't find anywhere else. Neovitin is now conveniently available through our no-obligation monthly subscription. Cancel or pause at any time, and shipping is free. Support your nutrition with a subscription to Neovitin at neovitin.com today.
We all have different ideas of the perfect retirement, but they all depend on the same thing, not running out of money. Steve All and the team at the All Financial Group can help you develop a retirement income stream that fits your idea of the perfect retirement. Call 636-230-8824 or go to yourmoneymattersstl.com.
Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Steve All, NPN number 153-07419.
Saturdays are made for soccer. Presented by Michelob Ultra. Superior light beer. Enjoy responsibly. Catch St. Louis City Soccer anywhere you go on the Odyssey app. Or grab your friends and catch the game at any City on Tap location, bringing City SC fans and beer together.
Hi, my name is Indiana Voslev from St. Louis City, and Saturdays are made for soccer.
Brought to you by Together Credit Union, the exclusive banking partner of City SC.
Hi, this is Ken Newbold for Newbold Toyota and Newbold BMW, a family-owned dealership group that has been around for 50 years as a Toyota dealer and 25 years in O'Fallon, Illinois. So come see us. That's Newbold Toyota in O'Fallon or newboldtoyota.com. You'll be sold on Newbold.
Just imagine being walked all over for 36 years. Who would do that? The great customers of Reinhold Flooring, that's who. For over 3.5 decades, Reinhold Flooring has been the mecca for carpet, hardwood, vinyl, laminate, and area rugs. Reinhold Flooring is customer-driven with a focus on top-quality products and installations from the best team in the business. So come on in and walk all over your next flooring at Reinhold Flooring. Visit them at 5429 Telegraph Road in St. Louis or online at reinholdflooring.com.
Biden's open border policies are crushing Missouri. Yet, the Jeff City Swamp is boosting a program subsidizing health care for illegals, the same program behind Planned Parenthood's discount abortion scheme. Thankfully, Iraq War veteran Andrew Bailey is on guard. Like Trump, he's a fighter. As your Attorney General, Andrew Bailey won't stop fighting illegal immigrants and Planned Parenthood. Call 314-340-6816 and thank Andrew Bailey. Stand For Us PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. StandForUs.com.
Transforming airwaves into an engaging playground of ideas and entertainment. It's the Chris and Amy Show on KMOX.
Amy Marks Kors and Chris Ranji on KMOX.
Kind
of feels like Satan's in the room, doesn't it? We've got Ben Boyd, former KMOXer, now with the Cardinals, is in studio with us.
He was with KMOX for a very long time, and he is now with the St. Louis Cardinals. Awesome guy. When we brought in Chip Carey in the last segment, and we played whatever clip we played, I think it was you were doing the keep going around the bases movement with your arm, like keep going. The go. Yeah.
Yeah, what about it? I don't know.
It reminded me of
waving them home. That's what I was doing.
Waving them home. Yeah. It reminded me of a recent game of CYC baseball with 10-year-olds. And one of the funniest moments is the 10-year-olds on the one team were really kicking. They were really hitting. And because they were scoring so many runs, their coach, who was at third base, was doing the stop sign very, very clearly every time they got a hit. And watching maybe like 7 consecutive kids just blow through the stop sign because they wanted to score, they wanted to hit home plate, might have been one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Like the coach would just throw his hands up, like, what am I supposed to do? And the boys were so excited. And I was telling you how records of the baseball teams, yes, it matters. And getting into the weeds and the OPS and all of that, it matters. However, it is really fun to watch baseball through the eyes of kids again. And the way they all are wearing those, what are the big Oakley sunglasses, like the blades?
Okay.
The big ones that are from the 80s, 90s are back. And then the eye black on their faces, they'll even wear it like in the shape of however their favorite player puts on the eye black.
Yeah.
That's what they'll do. And the gloves, the arm sleeves, it's really fun. It reminds you what Cardinal baseball is and means to St. Louis.
Well, all I can think about is the fact that the major leaguers have ruined these kids because they do it. They blow right through stop signs. They don't look at the third base coach.
Are you joking right now, or are you being serious?
I'm totally serious.
Really?
It drives me crazy watching professionals, and I get it. They're a little smarter because they are pros. They've been around the game longer at a higher level. I get it. It drives me nuts. When I see a guy going first to second and the ball's hit to right field and they're turning around looking at the ball while running the opposite direction.
When they should just be looking.
Look at your third base coach. You're a professional. And if you do that, you'll be faster and you'll get to the base faster and you won't trip all over yourself. It drives me crazy. It's like the third base coach shouldn't even be there for most of these big leaguers. They're not even looking.
Wow, I didn't know this. You were so passionate about this.
Oh, yeah, it drives me nuts. It's one of the baseball
like
things.
Like a steering wheel on the front of your pants.
Yeah, yar. It drives me crazy that they don't pay attention to the coach. You're pros. You're supposed to know.
I had no idea.
They're looking at the ball. You look at them.
Well, I was just laughing at the 10-year-olds, but it seems I've really hit a sensitive area for you.
Oh, it's man. I think if you're a Major League Baseball player and you don't look at your third base coach, you should be suspended for 50 games.
What if you look at him and ignore him?
60 games.
Wow. I'll just tell you what. The coach, he had no power in that moment. Those 10-year-olds were hell-bent on getting home. They were so excited. But that's apparently how major leaguers operate as well.
Yeah, man, it's on. So, these kids are taking their cues from the big leaguers, and they're all wrong. Man, it's one of those things that I think we all have stuff in our lives, that upsets us and really shouldn't upset us.
Yeah,
but that is one of those things that it's a peeve of mine, and it drives me bonkers.
Between that, the kids not stopping at third base, and then you saying, hey, kids need to learn life is hard, don't give them the ball.
That's correct.
I think you should write a book or maybe have a YouTube series called Chris Ranji Teaches Kids Lessons.
Oh, my God. I'll teach these kids a thing or two.
Like, it's tough out here.
I'll teach these kids how to live.
Yeah.
How to treat people.
Look, kid.
How to be respectful.
Uh-huh.
And I'm going to start with Matt Pajeski, our producer, because he doesn't know how to behave. And he's 15 years old.
Okay, I want to let people know about two exciting guests in the 12 o'clock hour.
Okay.
Nick Lyon.
Yes.
He is the director and producer and writer of a movie, Continental Split.
That's the movie where the arch crumbles because of the New Madrid fault line.
That's exactly right. It is a disaster film. You may recognize him from his movies Titanic 666.
Rent an Elf.
Stormageddon, Earth-tastrophe, and Bermuda Tentacles. We also on a totally different note, have the Maricopa County, yes, that Maricopa County recorder, Stephen Richer.
In Arizona.
He will talk to us about election integrity and the threats election officials are getting.
And he's got a lawsuit right now against Carrie Lake. So this will be a very interesting conversation and an interesting hour. Coming up, Chris and Amy on KMOX.
Feel like everything's clouded by doubt? Visit CaliforniaPsychics.com. Our psychics are available to talk 24/7, and we guarantee if it's not life-changing, it's free. Experience the joy of certainty. California Psychics.
Smokey the Bear.
After 80 years of learning his wildfire prevention tips, Smokey Bear lives within us all. Learn more at SmokeyBear.com. And remember,
only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie. And one thing I've learned is that you buy a house, but you make it a home. Because with every fix, update, and renovation, it becomes a little more your own. So you need all your jobs done well. For nearly 30 years, Angie has helped millions of homeowners hire skilled pros for the projects that matter. From plumbing to electrical, roof repair to deck upgrades. So leave it to the pros who will get your jobs done well. Hire high-quality certified pros at Angie.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
If you've been injured in a truck accident, you need the best. Onder Law. Let us make your case our cause. Truck accident? Call Onder Law for a free review at 314 or 618-9000000.
Today, we're constantly taking photos and videos to remember our favorite moments. But what about those captured before the smartphone? What about the memories tucked away on aging VHS tapes, film reels, or in fading photos?
These cherished memories are fading away with time, vulnerable to threats like heat, moisture, and mold. But fear not, there's a solution to safeguard your legacy. Hi, I'm Adam.
And I'm Nick. Together we founded Legacy Box over a decade ago with one mission, to bring your memories into the 21st century.
It's time to bid farewell to old tapes you can't watch and faded photos. Legacy Box transforms them into digital treasures, ready to share with a click.
Just like magic, your shoebox of memories is now safely stored in the cloud or on a thumb drive.
Over 1 million families have trusted Legacy Box, so you can rest assured your priceless moments are in good hands.
Don't let your childhood fade away on old tapes. It's time to digitize those priceless moments.
Fast forward into the digital age. Visit legacybox.com/value and unlock 50% off your order. That's legacybox.com/value.
KMOX, KECK HD2, K254CR, St. Louis.
The legendary voice of St. Louis, KMOX. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Join Mark Patrick's seminars and lose weight or stop smoking guaranteed. Early bird special, only $49.99. Seminars Wednesday, August 14th at the 4 Points by Sheraton, St. Louis, Fairview Heights, in Fairview Heights. Weight loss seminar, 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking seminar, 8 p.m.
What's happening in the world of politics? Find out from the guys who know the game best, Hancock and Kelly.
I love getting to spend time talking politics and life in St. Louis with my pal John Hancock, one of the most politically misguided people I know.
Well, we may disagree about a few things, but it'll be good radio.
Find out what's happening in the world of politics and everything else with Hancock and Kelly.
We like spending time with all of you right here on KMOX.
Friday mornings beginning at 8:30.
No doubt about it.
Only on KMOX.
Mid-America's most trusted source for news. KMOX.
At 12 noon, it's a sunny sky and 77 degrees downtown at the Arch. The news is sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com. Our top story this hour, President Biden is trying to tackle at least two major hurdles. The commander-in-chief is now holding up in his Delaware home, recovering from a third bout of COVID. CBS News correspondent Skylar Henry has more from the White House.
The White House has firmly insisted the president is in it to win it, but with a little more than 100 days to go, calls for him to step aside appear to be growing.
Officials in the investigation into the attempted assassination of former President Trump say that the shooter searched for images of Trump and President Biden and that he visited the site of the rally at least once beforehand. CBS's Charlie DeMar is following the investigation in Butler, Pennsylvania.
CBS News has confirmed that the Secret Service counter-sniper team that was closest to the shooter likely would have had their line of sight to the shooter actually obstructed by trees, which would have made it challenging to actually see the shooter perched up there on the roof. Now, the sniper team farther away is believed to have fired that fatal shot. So it does give a little more context to paint the picture of how this unfolded and how that threat was ultimately stopped on Saturday.
Republican delegates from Missouri are in Milwaukee for the RNC. State Representative Mitch Boggs, who's serving as an alternate delegate, tells MissouriNet the assassination attempt on former President Trump set the tone for the event.
I think someone wanted to totally upset this completely. And I think this whole deal just backfired upon them because the unity definitely has taken place.
The Planned Parenthood Clinic in Fairview Heights says it's offering women medication abortion longer in their pregnancies because of increased demand. Dr. Colleen McNicholas, Chief Medical Officer at Planned Parenthood in Fairview Heights, tells KMOX women are traveling from thousands of miles away.
In the last year, we've seen patients from more than 28 states coming to Southern Illinois to access basic reproductive health care.
The clinic is extending the use from 11 weeks of pregnancy to 12 weeks.
This just in.
A Missouri Supreme Court ruling clears the path for the release of a woman whose murder conviction was overturned after 43 years. The KMOX Business Desk, an iconic U.S. company, will no longer promote inclusion efforts.
Farm equipment maker John Deere says it will no longer sponsor social or cultural awareness events. Deere will become one of the biggest U.S. companies to distance itself from diversity and inclusion measures after being targeted by conservative backlash. Rural retailer Tractor Supply recently announced a similar move away from inclusion efforts. Jim Crisula, CBS News.
The Dow from Stifel down 275 points to 40,922. Watch out, the exit ramp is closed if you're on 5544 getting off at the Poplar Street Bridge. It looks like there's a crash there. We've also got a crash involving 3 tractor trailers on 44 going eastbound at the Six Flags exit. That's a notoriously dangerous area. The 2 left lanes are blocked there, 44 going east at Six Flags. Also a crash on 6440 east at Kings Highway. That's got the right lane and the right shoulder closed.
A gorgeous afternoon with plenty of sunshine and low humidity, the high near 80. Moonlit skies tonight, though 62. Mostly sunny tomorrow, high 80. For Saturday, partly sunny, high 84. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on the voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
We've got some clouds at 77 in Florissant and St. Peter's and 77 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
You don't need to worry or sweat the small stuff if you have Sachs Financial on your side. Sachs Financial, home of the Retirement Compensation Plan. SACHS, Sachs Financial, because income is the outcome that matters. RetireSafeSTL.com.
The Chris and Amy Show on KMOX. Brought to you by Together Credit Union. Check out their new Empower checking account and earn 5% interest on balances up to $25,000.
We just had a major seismic event. The New Madrid fault is the largest on this continent. If we're seeing this much activity, it means something way bigger could be on the way. We're looking at a 10.0 or larger in less than 9 hours.
It'll split the entire continent in half.
You know, we've spent all week talking about real disasters. We thought we'd take a moment to talk about a disaster that isn't actually real. It is the Chris and Amy Show on KMOX, final hour. And again, Stephen Richer, who's the Maricopa County recorder and has received death threats after the accusations of, election fraud. So he runs elections in Maricopa County in Arizona, has a lawsuit against Kari Lake. We're going to be talking to him at the bottom of the hour. But right now, we are visiting with director, producer, and writer. His latest movie is Continental Split, and in that film, you see the St. Louis Gateway Arch crumble to the ground because of a massive earthquake. And to talk about it with us, Nick Lyon joins the show on KMOX. How's it going, Nick?
Hey, it's going well. How are you guys?
Hey, we're doing great here. And look, we always love it when St. Louis is featured in any kind of movie. There was the George Clooney movie with Anna Kendrick, where they're in the airport or they're whatever. There's that one. And then there's this one where the St. Louis Arch crumbles to the ground. What gave you the idea to destroy our national monument?
Oh, I got in a fight with my in-laws. I'm just teasing. They're from St. Louis, so
are they?
There you go.
Well, you guys.
And I have my lawyer, Coach Winehouse. He's also funny enough in St. Louis, and he wrote me when he saw it. He's like, "Nick, you had to take down the arch. Come on." No, but I just as a correction, I'm the director. I didn't write
director
it.
of that one, but you've done a number of other movies, yeah.
I've done, like 40 movies, so. This was another one of the films. I thought it was it was a fun concept. I wouldn't necessarily say it's 100%. It's not 100% accurate. None of these really are. They're more for entertainment value. But there is, the new Madrid, or
that's
Mad-
right. It is.
How do you see? Yeah,
Madrid.
Don't say it wrong.
It's funny. Yeah, you don't say it wrong, but then do you say Missouri or Missouri?
Well, it's
Missouri. Yeah.
But other people say it's Missouri. So
They're
it's like
liars.
New Madrid. All my in-laws in St. Louis, they all say New Madrid.
They do?
Oh, come on.
No, see, I get in trouble. Like, I've said New Madrid accidentally because it looks like that, but it's New Madrid.
Well, is it possible that it's New Madrid, Missouri, but the New Madrid fault?
I don't think that's possible at all.
Okay.
I think it's just a southern, and I think it's a regional thing.
Okay, Nick, I have to I have to ask you because I'm gonna name some of the films you've directed. So in addition to, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I've done, things like Species: The Awakening for like MGM. I've done Bullet, which was with Danny Trejo and Jonathan Banks. I've done, a little one that I'm really proud of called The Boy, the Dog, and the Clown, which is a completely family-friendly film.
wow.
I've done Christmas movies. I've done other disaster movies. I did Zombie Apocalypse, Rise of the Zombies, Z Nation, the series.
Yeah.
I did. Yeah, that was based on my movie, Rise of the Zombies and Zombie Apocalypse for Sci-Fi Channel. So, I've done quite a few movies.
Yeah.
Including working in Germany, and the latest one is I've done 3. So this one, and then in December I did one called Cruel Love, which has to be distributed yet, and another one that's coming out on Tubi in September.
Well, and that was going to be, like my question, because you have done a lot of disaster movies, and I was wondering if that was a genre you've always been attracted to. Like even as a kid, you loved those types of movies.
I like to create worlds. Honestly,
Mm-hmm.
I like to create worlds. And somehow, like, I've gotten called in on a lot of disaster movies, and I've gotten called in on a lot of movies that happen on ships. Strangely
Really?
enough.
Yeah.
And I'm like 6'5". It's like, you know how hard it is to shoot in a ship? And so I've shot on the USS Iowa, the Lane Victory here in LA. I've shot in Germany. I shot on ships. And so it was another disaster movie for German television in German language. And then I've done a couple like D-Day, Rebels of PT-218. There a Titanic 666, which was all on ships. And so, and honestly, the disaster ones, they come about and they're really hard because we're mostly dealing with pretty low budgets. It's not like some blockbuster budget and very tight schedules. And so, I'm out there like with a very small crew, and I have big wind machines and fog machines to orchestrate. And, it's like, you just have to learn to do tricks to make it look good, and then you have to know how to incorporate it with the visual effects of it, and the timeline on the visual effects is very short as well. I think that these guys, the animation team on Continental Split, they didn't have much more than a week and a half or 2 weeks to do all those
really
effects.
See, that's the thing.
Normally, this stuff takes like a half a year.
Yeah. That's what's really interesting to me. And we're talking with Nick Lyon, who is a director and producer and writer. And some of the titles of the movies, we're talking about disaster films like Stormageddon, Earth-tastrophe, Annihilation Earth, and the Continental Split that we focused on today. And the star of the show in any disaster movie, I think for a lot of people, are the special effects, because they want to see, okay, there's this huge catastrophe that's about to happen. How do they recreate it and make it look realistic?
Like?
So to have to, what would it look like if the arch actually did crumble to the ground, or the country split down the middle because of a fault line? Like, what would that look like? And to not have the time or the budget to be able to create those special effects has to be really difficult.
No, it's probably, in my opinion, because I've done drama, I've done Christmas movies, I've done, everything, drama, family, Christmas, action. And I would say that because the disaster movies, most of them are a combination of everything, they're really hard to do. I mean, they're just really hard to do. And it's technically very hard because, for example, you have people walking around in destroyed, in a destroyed set, and then you have to kind of match that. Sometimes, like if a car's driving, you have to have them above the ground and below the ground. So I have to shoot it in segments. Like I have to shoot the below the ground part separate, even though they're talking to the people up above, looking down, trying to pull them out on a rope, and then you have to have the effects, the fog or smoke, if there's fire, I mean, one film that I'm really proud of where I did that very well is On Fire, which you can go see right now on Roku or Amazon. and that one was it wasn't the one that was shot in St. Louis, but it's one with Peter Facinelli and Lance Henriksen, and it was a theatrical release, and that's a family caught in a forest fire. So that had to all be visual effects, so you're having to combine practical effects with visual effects with actors acting in it, and they have to react to it like it's real, because there's nothing about it that's real when you're sitting there running in a field looking up at a helicopter that's supposed to be above you, that's supposed to be dropping stuff down. So they have to you have to kind of convince them that it's real. And, with Continental Split, it was really funny because like Jessica Morris, she hadn't done, like a disaster film like this before. And she comes over to me and Chris and she's like, you guys, is this really, really not, I don't, it doesn't feel right. And I'm like, well, trust us, it's like, once we add the visual effects and everything, then it'll all come together. And so, and I mean, nobody's trying to win an Oscar or anything with these films, they're low budget, they're entertainment. I like to say, the task is to try to make a film that is a fun ride, they're tasking us with trying to make a $20 million film on, less than 500,000 or so, it's like, and so and with no time, and so you try to do the best you can, and I've done it enough that I know the little tricks and stuff to get it done, but it's like it's a sprint. It's really hard. And then when we were shooting on this one in the middle of winter, it's raining, it's 36 degrees outside, so it's quite an adventure for the 10-12 days that you shoot.
No, I can imagine. And I'm looking at the cover, at least it's on like IMDb, of the film would be Continental Split, and it's got the arch like in the process of crumbling right on that movie poster. And I know in the trailer as well, I believe it shows the old courthouse crumbling. Does St. Louis, like those monuments, do they play a big role in the movie, or is it kind of the
more
Midwest?
like Jefferson City is where the governor's at? Okay. So that's the Jefferson City Capitol
building.
Building.
Gotcha.
And then,
Okay.
But it is showing like St. Louis completely flooded and hit, because if the earthquake were to hit, it would basically, the whole concept, it's going to take America in half,
Right.
And the seismologist that's been warning about it for years, and she actually did a false alarm years earlier, and they put in a full state of emergency, and then it didn't ever happen. And so she's been humiliated and fired from the government, and now she's still doing independent research on it. And the funny thing is that her husband, who's a geologist, decided to go consult and start fracking business. So there's like a divide between the family too, because he's a fracker and she's a environmentalist.
Yeah.
And it turns out at the end of the day that the fracking actually helps stop the earthquake, because I did this research like that there is actually a way to stop earthquakes. They've theoretically, and that is to drill a bunch of holes around the fault line, and it would act as like kind of a cushion when the fault happens. And I was reading some tests about this, that it's like, wow, I think they're doing it down in Chile or something. And so it's like, okay, so what would it take to get down low enough? And he has this fracking well that's deep enough and to get a blast to kind of counter the earthquake, which, I mean, you never, because you have an explosion that helps knock it out. But so it's about the family like coming together, and and it's a fun ride. It doesn't stop. The action just keeps going. I like to attune it to like, it's clean. It's fun. You don't really have to worry about, kids getting offended too much, I don't think.
Yeah.
Other than, and the visual effects aren't too scary.
This Continental Split is the movie we're talking about. It is on Tubi. You can watch it there. We've got the director, Nick Lyon, visiting with us on KMOX. Nick, we appreciate your time today. Thanks for talking about it, about this movie with us. And it's cool to see St. Louis in it, to see the Arch in it.
Well,
and,
I love St. Louis, and if it's up to me, my wife's from there, my family, like her entire family. I got married there, so it's like I really have it in my sights to bring more stuff back to St. Louis to shoot films there.
Hey, we'll be in the movie if you want.
Okay,
the next one.
I'll give you a call.
Awesome. Let us know. We can help out.
Or we can be like the broadcasting the disaster.
Or we could do whatever.
There we go.
Yeah.
I'll be a barista. I don't care.
That always happens.
Awesome. Yeah,
We always
that's
have that.
great too. Nick Lyon, thanks for talking with us.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Director, producer, and writer Nick Lyon. That's him, and the movie is Continental Split, and it's a disaster movie. I love.
I want to watch
disaster
it.
movies.
I want to see it.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. There's a part in the beginning where a guy falls into a giant sinkhole while he's fishing.
So
I'm sorry,
I saw
I ruined
that,
that for you.
I thought about the sinkhole.
About the sinkhole in
that
Alton?
was in Alton.
Yes.
And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, because I saw another scene about a sinkhole in that movie, and it looked exactly like, version of the sinkhole on the sports field in Alton.
That's right, which continues to grow, apparently.
Yikes.
Not a good situation. Amy Marks scores, Chris Ranji on KMOX.
Retiring soon? Get the information you need by joining Kyle Jones and Matt Allgeier of Vira Capital Management for your retirement highway, Sunday mornings at 9:30. Investment advisory services made available through Pine Ridge Advisors, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Securities made available through AE Financial Services, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC.
La 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 la. Oops.
Ever had your singing lessons cut short by icy water?
Oh, I'm sorry, honey.
Say goodbye to those cold notes with Navien tankless water heaters. With Navien, you'll hit all the right notes without the surprise chill. So keep singing and let Navien keep the hot water flowing. And get ready for the encore when you get your utility bill.
La 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 la.
Navien tankless water heaters. Visit tanklessmadesimple.com.
When you haven't found love, it can feel like everyone else has. It's in every movie, every song, and all the PDA. Looking for love sucks. Thankfully, California Psychics can give you the guidance you need to find the one. We guarantee if your reading isn't life-changing, it's free. And new customers receive 20 minutes for just $20. Visit CaliforniaPsychics.com and experience the joy of certainty. California Psychics.
Help if you want to sell your home as is. Help doesn't matter the condition it's in. Help if you want a simple sale with no agency fees. Claiming groups got you covered, no contingency. House a mess, roof damage, bad taxes, that's all okay. Make sure you remember to call Claiming Real Estate.
Let us help you. ClaimingGroup.com. KLAMEN Group.com.
I'm Tom Ackerman with this month's Siteman Cancer Center Spotlight, and we are focusing on mental health. Joining me is Dr. Jessica Vanderland, psychologist with Siteman.
We offer a number of therapy groups for Siteman patients and their families. These are all, again, focused on cancer-related distress and issues. We also provide short-term individual therapy. Again, cancer focused.
Special thanks to Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer. For more information, go to siteman.wustl.edu.
The best things in life, they come in twos. 2 scoops of ice cream, 2 tacos. And now for a limited time, get our best deal of the year. Buy any phone when you switch to Consumer Cellular and get 2 months of service free. That's right, the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage as Big Wireless, now with 2 months free. Proof the best things in life really do come in twos. Visit ConsumerCellular.com or call 1-888-FREEDOM. Second and third month of monthly base service fee waived for new customers with the purchase of a phone and activation by July 31st, 2024. Taxes, fees, and third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
With Progressive Snapshot, you could save on auto insurance rates by driving safely, which is great because you're rarely rewarded for just being you. Ever get rewarded for being left-handed? No. You get to use weird scissors. Your reward for being a Capricorn? Cold birthdays that conflict with the holidays. And your reward for quickly responding to every work email? More emails. But with Snapshot, even left-handed Capricorns with proper email etiquette could get rewarded for good driving. So download the Progressive app today. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates. Snapshot not available in all states or from all agents.
Our goal at Neovitin is to make supporting your nutrition as easy as possible. That's why we created the Neovitin monthly subscription. Just go to neovitin.com, choose your multivitamin, Sign up and we will do the rest. You'll receive your Neovite multivitamin every month with no long-term obligation. You can pause or cancel at any time and shipping is free. Each Neovite multivitamin includes our physician-formulated proprietary blend for nutritional support you won't find anywhere else. Start supporting your nutrition the easy way with Neovite multivitamins. Sign up for a Neovite subscription today at neovite.com.
St. Louis bi-state summers are hot, humid, and can be deadly. Heat can even fry an egg on a sidewalk. For many seniors and the disabled, income goes to rent, medicine, and groceries, often with nothing left to pay utility bills. Please help seniors keep the air on, and let's check on neighbors. CoolDownSt.Louis.org can also help Missouri and Illinois qualified neighbors with utility bills. Get help, give help at CoolDownSt.Louis.org.
Your passport into a world of wit and wisdom and a splash of humor. Chris and Amy on the Voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
All right, yesterday, as you probably saw by now, there was this incident on the floor of the Republican National Convention. This was not during any speeches or ceremonies or anything, but it was Kevin McCarthy, the former Speaker of the House, just talking to the press, and Matt Gaetz walked up and interrupted.
But what you're seeing here, a more united Republican Party. Think back 8 years ago. Ted Cruz wouldn't endorse. Senator Lee was saying no to President Trump. Now you've got Nikki Haley, Ron DeSantis. You're watching a united party like we haven't been in the past. One who's not coming back, and then the other part that you have, and the other part you have is one person who raised the issue. He's got an ethics complaint about sleeping with a 17-year-old. So that's the way they would go. So that's the biggest challenge we have.
Okay, so you heard that. That was yesterday. This is former Speaker McCarthy on CNN this morning.
He said you're going to get booed off the stage. What's your response to him?
Well, he looks very unhinged. I mean, a lot of people have concerns about him. And I'm not sure if he was on something, but I do hope he gets the help that he needs. But more importantly, I hope the young women get the justice they deserve when it comes to him.
I mean, you're referring to the House Ethics Committee investigation that is ongoing.
Yeah, with his partner in jail because they paid underage women for sex and drugs. Yeah, that's what I'm referring
to. So he has denied all of that. I'm wondering, doesn't he deserve the presumption of innocence here?
Well, people are in jail. The women have confirmed it. He came to me. If I still wanted to be speaker, I could have done something illegal and stopped the ethics committee investigation that started 4 years before.
He told you to stop the ethics.
Yeah, that's what the whole motion to vacate was about.
So he's talking about this entire process and the investigation, the ethics investigation into Matt Gaetz. Said it really started before him, before he was, in charge of that. And Matt Gaetz is off his rocker. It's all silliness.
He's insane. When we were in Florida, we saw quite a few Matt Gaetz commercials and ads, but they were anti-Gaetz ads. They were all negative. I'm going to take a quick separate angle on this. Kevin McCarthy mentioned women when the reporter said, well, aren't you, presumed innocent? And he talked about the women. One thing that I noticed on both sides of the aisle that I get pretty tired of, when you talk about immigration, how nobody really wants to solve immigration. It's a political football. They use it. When you talk about heated rhetoric, nobody really wants to stop heated rhetoric. Whenever it's women, it's like, well, we believe these women. Well, these women are lying. I do think this whole idea of women testifying or women's accounts of their experiences with politicians, that's become a political football of whether you're disrespecting women or respecting women. Both sides, I think, have been gross with the way they talk about women, whether it is female politicians, it is women who have accused male politicians of abuse, different situations, even in Israel with rape and the way that the horrific rape of all of these Israeli women, that got thrown back and forth. I'm tired of that.
Also happening today, we are still watching the President Biden's camp to see if he makes a decision to step down. Reporting from earlier today from Axios says several top Democrats privately are telling them that the rising pressure of the party congressional leaders will persuade him to decide to drop out of the race as soon as this weekend. So, He, to this point, publicly has been defiant. There are growing calls for him to step aside and let somebody else take over and run this race. We'll see if President Biden decides not to run for re-election. And again, as Axios says, it could potentially happen before the weekend. That's Amy Marks Kors. I'm Chris Ranji. We talked to Stephen Richer, the Maricopa County recorder, who has had death threats levied against him as a result of rhetoric regarding elections being fraudulent. So we will talk to Stephen Richer next on KMOX.
STL Fenceworks serving the St. Louis, St. Charles, Franklin, and Warren counties for over 50 years, stretching back to 1971. Sean Timothy Long, his parents opened the company. Now he runs it. You've heard his voice on KMOX saying your satisfaction is their passion. And what they mean by satisfaction, it's not just meeting your needs, but it's exceeding your expectations. STL Fenceworks, you've heard me praise their decks, their maintenance-free decks, Wolf Cellular PVC decking. I love it. I also want to talk about their fence product as well. They're proud and excited to install American-made aluminum and vinyl fence products, and all of those products, whether it's their Jareth Manufacturing or National Vinyl products, again, they're wholly sourced and manufactured right here. And Jareth, well, they invented the aluminum fence industry over 50 years ago, while their National Vinyl products, they provide you with tan, clay, gray, and variegated wood grain vinyl fence products as well. Their commitment to a quality and customer-first approach has never, ever wavered. Your project will be completed by experienced craftsmen in a timely manner, and they have a warranty that reinforces that commitment, surpasses anything else in the industry. STLFenceworks.com.
Is your home, business, or church looking tired, chalky, or in need of curb appeal? Go Rhino. Tired of painting year after year? Go Rhino. Our unique 3M ceramic technology is perfect for brick, stucco, aluminum, steel, color lock masonite, and more. It's backed by our 25-year transferable warranty to not chip, crack, or peel. Great if you're staying, and even better if you're selling. Our ceramic coating allows you to maintain all of your architectural features. The decision to do vinyl will leave your home looking like a plastic moldy box. With Rhino Shield, in 15 years, your home will still have that, wow, it looks like you just got it painted. We've done large condo complexes, parking garages, pole barns, and commercial strip malls. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. Evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
12:30, 78 degrees downtown at the Arch. Democrats at the highest levels are making a critical push for President Joe Biden to reconsider his re-election bid. Former President Barack Obama has privately expressed concerns to Democrats about Biden's candidacy, and Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi privately warned Biden that Democrats could lose the ability to seize control of the House if he didn't step away from the race, and that polls showed he likely cannot defeat Donald Trump. We've got a crash still on 44 going east at Six Flags. It's got the right lane closed right now. Be careful there. Some road work on 67 Lindbergh South at 231. That's in the right lane. Some road work on 67 South at Roxana has cleared, as has a crash on 64 East at Kings Highway. This afternoon's high of 80. For tonight, clear, low 62. For tomorrow, sunny with a high approaching 80. Right now, we've got some clouds at 78 downtown. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Broadcasting from the Underlaw Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studios.
KMOX.
Did you know you can unlock the equity from your current home and stay in it while you find your next home or while your new home is being built? Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, St. Louis's real estate expert, can do that for you. Here's a problem that many home sellers find themselves in. They want to sell their home, but where will they move? Plus, they need the funds from their current home to go purchase the next home. Well, Gloria gets it. And that's why she created her Sell and Stay program, which lets you sell your home, get the cash, and stay in that home for up to 12 months. Gloria Liu thinks of every dilemma a home seller goes through and provides a guaranteed solution. If you need the cash from your current home to buy your next home, here's my recommendation. Call the agent I trust, Gloria Liu, and ask her about her Sell and Stay program. Call 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. Conditions apply. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
It's Tom Ackerman for Ophthalmology Associates, the doctor's doctors, 314-966-5000, or online at youridoc.com.
Retiring soon? Get the information you need by joining Kyle Jones and Matt Allgaier of Fira Capital Management for Your Retirement Highway, Sunday mornings at 9:30. Investment advisory services made available through Pine Ridge Advisors, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Securities made available through AE Financial Services, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC.
Conversations that hit close to home, from schools to your pocketbook. The voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
Well, we all know of Maricopa County. It is a big county. It's the fourth largest in the country. Its seat is Phoenix, Arizona. And it is there in Maricopa County that election denialism really exploded there and across the country as well. And it is I would say, a surprise then that the Maricopa County Recorder is a name that people know across the county, and that's Stephen Richer. He is joining us now to talk about what he has gone through as the Maricopa County Recorder, to talk about election integrity, election denialism, and also the security that election officials need since all of the election fraud claims took place in 2020. So, Stephen, I want to welcome you in and also say, I'm sorry that I think on your second week on the job, you needed police protection already. Is that correct?
That's right. You've done your research. Yeah, my third day on the job was January 6th. So it's been an interesting few years.
Yeah, and you have been tweeting a lot and trying to educate people about how the process works, because there seems to be a lack of understanding from a lot of people with how mail-in voting works, and that's primarily what you deal with, correct?
That's right, and that's completely understandable that people aren't dealing with this on a daily basis like I am and like my team is, and so it's okay to have questions, and we celebrate questions. What we want to do is provide more information such that people who have questions about the process or seek out more information are more likely to find accurate information than they are inaccurate information. Now, unfortunately, I don't think that we're winning that war right now, but we're going to keep at it, and hopefully we can make some people feel better about the process and clear up some confusion about the process by putting more information out there. But one of the challenges is every state does a little bit differently. And so what you might see in Missouri might be different than what you would see in Arizona. And so that's something that we're also dealing with.
What would be some of the matters that people generally confuse, or because they don't know how the process works, perhaps jump to conspiracy rather than an understanding?
Oh, gosh, what hasn't been talked about? I think lately we've been hearing a lot of questions about illegal immigrants participating in the election process. And here in Arizona, we actually have a documented proof of citizenship requirement. And in all 50 states, it is unlawful for you to vote in a federal election if you are not a United States citizen. We hear a lot of questions about tabulation, especially after the 2020 election regarding Dominion, alleged connectivity to the internet. And so we talk about how almost everyone in the United States uses a paper ballot to vote on. So that always creates an auditable paper trail, and that there are hand count audits done after the election to make sure that tabulators work right. Another thing I like to talk about is I'm an elected Republican, but my process and my team is by no means just Republicans. In fact, by law, it has to be Republicans working with Democrats. And that's true of every single jurisdiction in the United States. There is no jurisdiction that is run entirely by Republicans or entirely by Democrats in terms of the election process. So I think just hitting some of those points, continuing to emphasize bipartisanship, continuing to emphasize tests, continuing to emphasize transparency are things that we're working on as election officials to help people feel better about the process.
And you are combating against a lot of misinformation out there. And I know that receiving death threats and threats against election workers and against you and against the families of election workers is a massive problem right now. What do you do about that, and how do you handle that personally?
I think, as both President Trump and President Biden said after this last weekend's horrific events, it starts with leaders, and leaders need to start toning it down. The violent rhetoric, the hyperbolic rhetoric, the incendiary language has created a permission structure for some people who are not mentally healthy, who listen to these people, and then they say, well, you know what? I'm going to take it into my hands to send a death threat over somebody's cell phone, or to show up and try and get in the election official's face or the politician's face. And so we need to be careful with what we say. So if you're going to say that these criminals stole an election, understand that saying that as a leader is going to have downstream ramifications, and that while you're not expressly saying that somebody should leave a death threat, there are going to be some people who are going to do that as a result. So leaders need to be more responsible and more careful with their words.
There is one prominent member of the party, in particular in Arizona, and her name is Kari Lake. And on the national stage, people know who she is. Yesterday, and I wanted people to hear this, and I wanted to hear your reaction, but she spoke with a reporter named Emily Maitlis yesterday, and they had this exchange.
Okay, so you don't believe that Joe Biden won the election in 2020?
I believe the election was run fraudulently.
And you refuse to concede in 2022 as well, your own contest.
Well,
you filed
obviously you're sitting
lawsuits.
across the pond and you don't understand what's happened. And I'm not going to argue
You
about
were
it with
sued
somebody.
for defamation.
Yeah. Because this is how corrupt the system is. I pointed out how they worked our elections.
You lied about a top Arizona election official. You defamed him. You falsely accused him of injecting 30,000 illegal votes into machines, intentionally misprinting ballots.
Yep.
Do you
It
stand
happened.
by those
Yes,
claims?
it happened.
Would you like to repeat them on air now?
It happened.
You
No,
think
you know what?
that he intentionally misprinted ballots?
If you
he
would-
sued you for this.
Yes, I know. I'm in the middle of it right now.
So the person she's referring to is you. When you hear that, what do you think, and how do you respond to it?
That it's an interesting legal strategy that she's employing, because she has already defaulted on liability, meaning that she has said in a court of law that the statements she made regarding me are false, that they were knowingly false, and that they were with malice. And so now we're just dealing with damages in my defamation suit. And I think you can draw your own conclusions as to whether or not this would factor into our damages assessment, and something that we would present to the court as continued defamatory statements. Regarding her allegations, don't look to social media for the truth, look to courts for the truth. And she has lost so many times on these allegations that I can't even keep track. And so there's no basis to them. There never was a basis to them. And she has lost time after time, appeal after appeal. And, I don't know what to say to anyone who puts stock in them at this point. You have to come up with an explanation why she has never been able to prove it in a court of law, and why every single judge who has heard this has been strong in their rebukes of these allegations.
Again, we're speaking with Stephen Richer, the Maricopa County recorder. And Stephen, I want to point out some facts that were in the National Review. They also spoke with you. Obviously, the National Review, a conservative magazine, they said you are a Republican out of Central Casting. You were attracted to Chicago Law School because of its reputation for a place for center-right thinkers. You were in NRI's Burke to Buckley program, the Federalist Society, involved with AEI. You even volunteered on Rudy Giuliani's presidential campaign in 2008. You are a dyed-in-the-wool Republican, and you're being attacked by some prominent Republicans for trying to create election fraud against Republicans. And I don't know that everybody understands that. I think we've kind of drawn a line where, okay, here are Democrats against Republicans, Republicans against Democrats. Do you feel like you're being gaslit here by your own party?
I don't know exactly how to characterize it, but it doesn't. It's not fun. That's certainly true. I am a lifelong conservative, and I don't believe that telling lies about our election system or about the judicial process has anything to do with conservatism. And so I'm mystified as to why this has become so central to so many identities within the Republican Party, and I'm obviously disappointed. And I think that it's a real shame that we're talking about stuff like this, which is basically just fantasy, instead of what conservatism can do for the United States, how it can lift more people into a better life in the United States and really the whole world. And I just so firmly believe that rule of law and a market system and a strong United States has been such a key ingredient to the flourishing of so many people over the last 100 years. And I think that anything that distracts from that within the Republican Party is detrimental. And so, yes, it's frustrating, it's flummoxing, whatever word you choose to describe it.
And any person who has run elections, works closely with elections, counting ballots, any of that stuff, will tell you the amount of detail that goes into it and how very unlikely it is that there is massive, widespread voter fraud. There really has never been evidence of widespread voter fraud. So how do we combat the attitude that some people have that it is rampant and that elections are being stolen, despite the fact that there is just absolutely no evidence of that?
So you're absolutely right. There are instances of one-offs and two-offs of voter fraud, but the system, broadly speaking, is very good at preventing any sort of significant voter fraud. So what do? Well, I think we leave behind whatever people think about the 2020 election, because I think that has become tribal at this point. And instead, we focus on getting more information into the hands of voters, getting more facts into the hands of voters such that they can feel good about the 2024 election. And we ask those voters, what can I tell you? What can I show you that would make you feel better about the process? And I think that we have to have empathy. We have to have, say to those voters, I understand why you feel this way. I understand why you might think this. I understand that based off of seeing this video on social media or following this political candidate, why you might think that. But have you considered these facts? And so showing empathy, not just rejecting somebody as dumb or as foolish for subscribing to some of these ideas, but instead showing them how the system works and what's done to account for some of these theories.
I know we talked about with the claims of election fraud that those claims threaten public servants. Those claims of fraud have led to multiple death threats against you and your family. Have you had any politicians reach out to you, whether it was Donald Trump or leaders of the Republican Party in Congress?
Some, not as many as you'd like. And I think that this goes back to the point about what is the responsibility of leaders. And I think that, for instance, following the attempted assassination of President Trump, that it was incumbent upon all political leaders to denounce political violence 100%, say that that was 100% wrong, no matter what you think of President Trump as a politician or as a lawmaker or even as a human being, that was not appropriate. And I think that we need to have similar unanimity and similar forcefulness with threats against election workers, threats against less prominent politicians, that it cannot be part of our political process and it needs to be made a social pariah. But that doesn't happen when some people within the political ecosystem are either turning a blind eye to it or are tacitly endorsing it by saying, well, this person did, cause a lot of commotion, or this person was involved in the theft of elections. Then again, that creates a permission structure for the Yahoos of the world to continue sending these types of unlawful death threats.
Stephen Richer, Maricopa County, Arizona recorder, with us on KMOX. And lastly, before we let you go, Stephen, and again, we really appreciate you talking with us today. With this election coming up, and we don't even know who the tickets are going to be for sure. We know one of them for sure, but there's still some things to be decided on the other end. How confident are you in our election system the way it is now? How confident are you that it will hold and that we will get through this next election and everything will be okay at the end of it?
I am highly confident that the thousands of election jurisdictions throughout the country will perform their responsibilities. I am not as confident that we will have broad acceptance of the results and that the future potential transfer of power or continuation of power will proceed seamlessly or without interruption. And that is relatively uncharted territory for the United States. And I think that that's a darn shame. And I think that we would be well served by thinking about how that came to pass and why it's even a conversation that we're having.
Stephen Richer, again, thank you for talking with us today. We are wishing you the best and continued luck. So thank you for giving us your time and speaking out about this. We all appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for treating Paul Goldschmidt well after he left the Diamondbacks. And I'm trying to think of what else I can say about Missouri sports. I guess go Tigers in this upcoming college football season.
Yeah,
is that what we say? Is that what Mizzou fans say?
Well, I'd say about 60% of people here probably agree with you. The other 30% say ILL.
ILL. Okay, not the Wash U Bears.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. They're too smart over there. They don't.
They play
they're
football.
They're really, really smart. They're worried more about the books than anything else.
And then there's the Billikens, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're
Right.
the basketball program.
That's right. We're the home of the Billikens right
We
here.
are. This is the radio station.
This is the radio station for Cardinals baseball and Billikens basketball.
That's one of my favorite trivia is what is the mascot? For a while, I don't know, it's some little blue guy with
Hey,
but you've produced some good basketball teams.
We don't know what it is. We don't know what a Billiken
Nobody
is.
really
Nobody
knows.
knows. Nobody knows.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Man,
Stephen,
we
so much.
appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Stephen Richer, Maricopa County recorder out of Arizona, responsible for mail-in ballots in a state that is very, very important, was in 2020 and will be again in 2024. Well, that's Amy Marks Coors. I'm Chris Ranji. This is KMOX.
A new study says 9 out of every 10 people leave money on the table when they file for Social Security benefits.
So if that's one of the things that you might have an interest in, let's sit down and talk about your questions, because I think that's the most important thing that it is out there. It's what questions do you have? I don't have a canned approach. I like to look at it, do a comprehensive retirement plan that fits you.
Join Steve All Saturday mornings at 10 right here on KMOX.
With the new year, it's time to make sure you have the best vision for 2024. That means scheduling your annual eye exam with Ophthalmology Associates. Call 314-966-5000.
Home values are sky high and you have a ton of equity. Your financial advisor thinks the market is peaked, so if you're thinking about selling, it's time, except for two things. High interest rates will burn you on a new home loan, and you're not ready to move. Savvy financial advisors suggest Truehold's new Sell and Stay program. It's ingenious because they buy your home now while its value is high. But you can stay in your home as long as you want with an easy, affordable lease. Smart, right? TrueHold will make you a solid cash offer, not a lowball offer like the others. It's based on your home's current value. The cash is yours to travel, pay off bills, or secure your retirement. And again, you can stay in your home with a comfortable lease. TrueHold covers property taxes, insurance, and maintenance. See how much TrueHold will pay for your home today. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit TrueHold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's value without moving. That's TrueHold.com.
Saturdays are made for soccer.
Parker elevated now ahead! And it's in! City lead!
Catch St. Louis City SC soccer anywhere you go on the Odyssey app.
Oh, Roman Berkey! A huge save! Oh, Roman Berkey!
Saturdays are made for soccer. Brought to you by Together Credit Union. Together Credit Union, the exclusive banking partner of City SC and Academy of the Sacred Heart. Independent Sacred Heart education since 1818.
Tune into the Home Improvement Show, sponsored by Mosby Building Arts, Saturdays 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on KMOX for expert advice on remodeling, design, and construction. This live Q&A show begins at 11 a.m. or find podcasts at mosbybuildingarts.com.
Well, the word is definitely getting out because Genesis of St. Charles had a record month in June, with people stopping in to see the beautiful new showroom and the incredible selection of gorgeous Genesis vehicles. And if you stop in to Genesis of St. Charles, ask about their July specials. Too many to list right now, but I can tell you 5.99% APR financing for 72 months on most Genesis models with approved credit. A quarter-mile east of Mid-Rivers Mall Drive off 70 or online at genesisofstcharles.com.
Today, we're constantly taking photos and videos to remember our favorite moments. But what about those captured before the smartphone? What about the memories tucked away on aging VHS tapes, film reels, or in fading photos?
These cherished memories are fading away with time, vulnerable to threats like heat, moisture, and mold. But fear not, there's a solution to safeguard your legacy. Hi, I'm Adam.
And I'm Nick. Together, we founded Legacy Box over a decade ago with one mission: to bring your memories into the 21st century.
It's time to bid farewell to old tapes you can't watch and faded photos. Legacy Box transforms them into digital treasures, ready to share with a click.
Just like magic, your shoebox of memories is now safely stored in the cloud or on a thumb drive.
Over 1 million families have trusted Legacy Box, so you can rest assured your priceless moments are in good hands.
Don't let your childhood fade away on old tapes. It's time to digitize those priceless moments.
Fast forward into the digital age. Visit legacybox.com/value and unlock 50% off your order. That's legacybox.com/value.
Join Mark Patrick seminars and lose weight or stop smoking guaranteed. Early bird special, only $49.99. Seminars Tuesday, August 13th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites St. Louis Airport in St. Louis, and Wednesday, August 14th at the 4 Points by Sheraton St. Louis Fairview Heights in Fairview Heights. Weight loss seminar 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking seminar 8 p.m.
Making radio waves more interesting. The Chris and Amy Show on KMOX. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
What's today? It's Thursday. Really? Feels like Tuesday.
No, it's Thursday, all right. And here's how I know, because tomorrow morning when we come back, Amy Marks Kors and Chris Ranji, at 10 o'clock, we will have Hancock and Kelly with us. And maybe by then, President Trump will announce he's not going to seek re-election. Or maybe not. Who knows?
President Biden?
What did I say?
Trump.
Did I say Trump? Oh, so I guess somebody better get my medical records then. President Biden.
He's putting on a show by himself, folks.
President Biden, there is reporting, could very well drop out by tomorrow or by the weekend. So we'll see. But anything you missed, get the Odyssey app and you can listen to it. We had some good stuff. The Stephen Richer interview, really, really good. So go back and get that. We will be back with you tomorrow at 10 o'clock. It is Chris and Amy. Dave Glover is next on KMOX.
Throwing up is never fun.
Well, not for the person doing it.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in